I have an idea. Need to go out to figure out where they have the actual bones
And swap.
with Jim's fangs on the skull.
Someone just called for you.
Oh, for me? Oh, right. Who's that?
Mr. Chase.
By Michael Chase, the Toreador
Is this-
Primogen.
All I ask is that for the next 10 years, you give me first dibs on your art.
There was a message from Edmund for me.
That piece I asked you for. Promise me it's going to be spectacular. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 6th episode of Blood on the Thames, a Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle set in London, England. Joining me tonight, not choking on water,
Carlos will learn how to breathe water playing Moses from Clan Nosferatu.
Hi, I'm Peter, and I'm playing Benjamin from Clan Malkavian.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm playing Katya of Clan Tremere.
Hi, I'm Philip. I'm playing Jim Roy Woods of Clan Gangrel.
Okay, guys. Jumping straight in, and previously last week, the coterie, who has been at odds with a certain kind called Darren Fitcher and his friends, have come across an interesting development in which they discovered one of his friends brutally murdered in a fashion almost ritualistic, and that they were not the perpetrators for. In a moment of frustration, Jim, who went wandering off, came across another member of Darren Fitcher's party, and in a moment of over-exuberance, sank his fangs into his skull in a manner which is clearly supernatural in death, calling members of his coterie in order to try and cover this up. Mixed with mixed results and the burning of a house, as well as heard gunshots and a subsequent reporting to the police, which was then noted on the news alongside the deaths of Will Sparring, who had been killed in this ritualistic manner, and a Mary Polvitz, who had been killed in a similar manner before. The details of these murders not fully disclosed to the public. During this time, Mrs. Morovsky, who had returned, had began repairing the damage done to the haven. Moses received a certain message from a companion of his, simply saying, "Have you ever felt the desire to rant?" Not fully grasping what this meant, Moses didn't immediately react to this, whilst Jim set about trying to destroy evidence to the body, whilst the other members of the coterie began formulating a plan on how they can try and cover up their potential breach by breaking into a police station and recovering the skull, replacing it with another one belonging to Tyler Adams, a kindred who had been murdered or put to final death within the limits of their domain by the constable. During this time, Benjamin, who was summoned to a meeting with one Michael Chase, the Toreador Primogen, found himself the subject of a curious deal in which Michael Chase requested first dibs on any and all art that he produced for the next 10 years, in response to which he would render the boons of other members of his party that they were owed null and void. It was also then that he dropped the information that Peter was expected in the company of his sire, something he had not been forewarned about, and might explain the curious response he had when he tried to call his sire earlier. Rushing to the side of his sire, he witnessed a full-on meltdown by his sire, who was, in the grips of rage, destroyed pretty much all of the contents of his gallery. Benjamin has promised to provide a spectacular piece of art in response to this, and promised that he'd never lie to his sire, and that Katya, who is to become the next subject of his piece, will show to Benjamin true suffering and agony. Upon his return, he has made a summons to the other members of his coterie, asking them to return to him. And that, whilst you were racing off to see Alice, you were returning from a meeting with Will, in which you were trying to catch her up with her studies. And Jim, you were doing your surveillance, you're wandering around, you're trying to get to grips with this lingering sense of frustration and dominance. That is where we left off, and that is where we are picking up now. So it is not a new night. No rouse checks are required. I did remember this time. So we will leap straight into this. So Jim, Katya, Benjamin, Moses. Who should we go with first? Benjamin. We'll go with you. If you'd like to bring people back into where you are currently, what you're currently doing.
So I'm currently in my room, and I have the piece that I was working on that I botched spectacularly last session has had some final touches, not very delicate touches added to it, and it's been put to one side. And I now have a new canvas, which I'm currently standing in front of, and it is set up such that the back of the canvas is to the door to the room, and I'm standing there, looking at the canvas and occasionally waving a brush in its general direction.
Katia, you are currently making your way back to the haven.
Indeed, I'm responding to a message received from Benjamin requesting in not so many words the rest of our coterie to return to the crossed hands.
Jim?
Jim, having received this message, and in his opinion, Ben having not replied to another summons from Jim, Jim's deciding to look around the domain and look at the cameras that Moses set up, knowing that something's up with them, and seeing if he can maybe sort them out.
Okay. Okay. Moses, you are currently atop your bike, getting a tingling sensation that someone's fucking with my shit.
My foxy senses tell me that my cameras are in danger.
Do you want to turn around and go back?
No. I am
Don't want to risk that pitfall.
No, I'm booking it to Alice's place.
Okay. We will then begin with you. The message that you received from Alice, whilst you sent a response saying that you were on your way, the response that came was not immediate.
Okay.
It was not heavily worded, but then you can't really tell whether that's because she's annoyed, whether she, despite being a bruiser, is angry, or whether or not she just is sending an abrupt response anyway. And it simply tells you that she is currently at the East London Mosque.
On my way there.
Yep, the London borough of the Tower Hamlets, between Whitechapel and Aldgate. I keep forgetting that name.
Okay.
Which is situated between those. So you begin making your way, weaving through the traffic. At this point, you're looking at about 2 o'clock in the morning. It's sparse traffic. There's not that many people there, and you manage to get your way there relatively quickly. Any other responses that you get on your phone don't go through to at this point. You're just focusing on going. And by the time you pull up, the mosque, which closes at about 9 o'clock, stops. Not 9 o'clock, sorry. About 10 o'clock. People stop coming in around this time. There is still foot traffic around this mosque, with people filing out. Most of which don't appear to have been going in for prayer, but you can tell at a glance they are Kindred. And they are making their way down out of the mosque in a sizable number. You're looking at about 20 Kindred that are coming out of this building. They are all in states of high energy. They're all in the midst of discussion with one another. There's one or two which have bloody lips. There are other individuals that look as though they've got ripped clothing, but they don't seem to care the fact that they're wandering out of a mosque in this state. They are just filing out. And the ones that are bringing up the rear that you note are 4 Kindred that you do recognise. One of which, with the trimmed goatee, the suited, the one that stands out, not only because of the strength of his presence, but because of just how formal he looks, is Deacon Road. And at his side, the very young, her hair cut in a stylistic way that you know is just going to change by the next night, Alice, who is in mid-discussion with him, holding back close to the doors. On either side of those, you can see Carl Mayer, the German Kindred that was with Deacon Rhodes previously, as well as Paul Difford, the young teenager with the hoodie and the jeans, who is just keeping a step back, just looking around, and he immediately notes you and whispers something over to Deacon, who, mid-discussion, just, without breaking the stream of his words, just glances over and then resumes speaking with Alice. Not a step out in his course of words. But then, as you pull up and you step off the bike, Alice glances over at you, looks down at an imaginary watch, and then looks back up.
I just grab the extra helmet and walk towards her.
Okay. She continues speaking with Deacon, and then just as she's about to take a step towards you, his hands goes out and just, not forcefully, but just places it on the crook of her arm, and she stops, and then just glances back at him, and he leans in and he just whispers something to her. And then she stops, her eyes furrow, and then she looks back at him. And then glances back at you. And then nods, and then just continues walking towards you as Deacon Rose just puts his hands in his pockets and then offers you a nod, turns to the other two, gestures, and they begin stepping down the steps past you. Don't give you another glance, neither of the other two flanking him pay you any mind. But Alice steps up towards you, takes the helmet out of your hand, says nothing but puts it on, and climbs back onto the boat.
Where to?
Anywhere. I don't care.
Okay, I just start driving.
Okay.
Probably go to my place.
Okay. The grip that she has on you is tight. Almost uncomfortably tight. There's no reluctance in the close proximity she has with you. I mean, the kinship that she has with you is surprising. I mean, even given the whole... not necessarily equality aspect of the Bruja, but the fact that they're more accepting, arguably, than some like the Ventru. But even then, she's gripping you. You can't really tell whether or not she's annoyed or if she's just eager to see you, or happy to see you. I mean, there's occasions where it kind of ventures between the two, but she says nothing else as you go off towards yours. And then when she gets to the other end, she takes off the helmet, tosses it to you, and just makes her way towards your...
Yeah, you just go upstairs. And the moment we're in upstairs, I go like, I'm sorry. Didn't know I was going to be too busy tonight. It's been an awful past couple of weeks and you haven't replied to my messages. You've been busy.
Moses, I get that you're busy. I'm not pissed that you didn't show. To be honest, most of the people that were there wouldn't have let you in anyway. You know what a rant is, yeah?
No.
Well, just imagine a lot of pissed off Bruja in the same place, socializing, and then everything that comes involved with that.
Yeah, I'm happy I'm late.
Yeah, you should be. But...
Are you okay?
Deacon said you had some visitors come and see you recently.
I've had like a gazillion.
Well, one in particular I'm asking about. Is this place bugged? Honestly, before I start speaking.
No.
Honestly, Moses.
Yes, I moved, so it's no longer bugged.
Okay. She takes off her jacket, just tosses it aside. You can see that she's actually... There's notable points on her where she's probably taken... she's probably taken an impact wound at some point that hasn't fully healed. You can tell just because of the fact that the edge of her ear, where there's normally... where she has an earring, is kind of half hanging off, almost as though she's hit it and the earring has been pulled. She also has a slight cut along the lower part of her eye, which is hard to tell until her hair gets pushed out of the way. Tyler Adams came to see you.
Yes. He went there to die. He knew he went there to die, and I am struggling to come to terms with that. I mean, he went there offering us a deal, but he went south fast. He wanted safe passage for Thin Bloods leaving the city that might need to spend the night at our B&B. The thing is that in exchange, the only thing he had was information about the sire of our, well, not so brainy but very brawny gangrel. And that was a stupid move on his part, because Jim is the kind of guy who's too dumb to even realize there's a negotiation going on. He was like... Also, the moment he stepped in, you know how tight I run security. Other members of my coterie saw him, they immediately call for the constable.
her foot is tapping, and there's a flexing of her fingers at her side. And it's curious because Alice, for a Bruja, she is remarkably composed, remarkably calm. And it's the little ticks that you're noticing just purely because, like a clock that stops ticking and you're suddenly aware of its absence, the motion of the fingers and the way that she's chewing her lip and the way that she's just poising back and forth on the ball of her feet, it's quite unnerving because it's not Alice. And you get the feeling that she wants to pace, but she's not letting herself. She's trying to calm herself down. And you don't know whether or not it's the result of the rant or if she's just
Mad.
mad.
That's what I'm saying.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, so basically, instead of us having the chance to deal with the situation, Ben, you need to meet him. He's cool. He's clueless as fuck, but he's cool. Ben had already called the constable. He's a non-combatant. He's an artist. Poor Malkavian is also, I think, he's extremely paranoid. So, by
Did
the time...
Tyler threaten you?
No.
Any of you?
No.
Did he?
Nothing. I was willing to have a listen to at him. I was trying to negotiate with him. I can freaking show you my own security video of me trying to negotiate with him. It's like, what is it for me? What's in it for me? What's in it for Katya or Tremere? What's in it for Benjamin?
If he didn't threaten you, any of you, it doesn't matter whether or not you're combatants or not. Why didn't you just let him go?
Jim wouldn't do it. He's a gangrel just like the constable, and I think he's...
I don't give two shits whether or not he's a gangrel.
That's the thing. I think he's trying to prove himself to his clan in some stupid way. Remember, brawny but not brainy. I had to be late because I was swapping skulls from the evidence room of the police station because he had decided that for a midnight snack he was gonna feed off of someone's skull. Like, I am cleaning up after the mess of my coterie. It's the first time I have a coterie. I'm trying to keep it together.
Do you know what I spent the last week busy doing? I've been trying to convince Deacon that you would be a good fit. I mean, I know he's had a meeting with you. I mean, he's told me all about it, and he told me all about the response your friends have had. But there's promoting the Anarchs, and then there's inviting you in. There is trust, and he is not a trusting guy. I got so fucking close, Moses.
I'm sorry, but it was not my doing. It was my coteries. Like, I have been giving serious, disgustingly serious thought of opening a cleanup business for kindred and kind alike. How to get rid of a body. Because Tyler's, sadly, is not the first body we have had to deal with. It's not the only body. Like, I am literally thinking about this as a means of mitigating whatever stupidity comes again from the ranks of my friends.
I spoke to Deacon again. That's what I was doing tonight. That's why I asked you down. He's prepared to speak with you, but he's not going to speak with your friends. If that's even something you're interested in, Moses. I don't even know if we're on the same page on this.
Well, I said they're my coterie, but Jim is hardly my friend. He's just a coterie member. Katya, she's cool, but she's a trimmer that's like really friendly, and he's the first one I meet, so I'm really wary. And Ben, Actually, Ben and I are the only ones who try to think with our, with our heads instead of with our hunger. So, then again, he's a paranoid artist, so it's not like we have a lot of things in common. I can hardly call them friends. You, I've known since before I was like this. So, as you said, there's trust and there's trust, where there's friends and there's friends.
They're not your friends, Moses.
No, they're my coterie. And sadly, whatever stupidity they do, whenever they mess up, it might fall on me. If one of them reaches the Masquerade, it's
I know you're a sweet guy. I know you mean well, and that is why I am trying so fucking hard to be cool. I get that you did what you had. Well, I get that it was out of your control. I get that they did it. So fucking hard. I know I shouldn't be pissed at you, but I am so fucking angry.
You wanna go train?
You do not want me venting at the moment.
No, it's not at me.
With anything.
Oh shit.
I fully intend on going home and locking my door and sleeping this off. I am... Yeah, you don't get it. You don't understand. This isn't just... It's not just about you coming in. It's not just about me giving you a window into it. It's about... When it happens, Moses, it's going to happen. It happens every time. I mean, the Convention of Thorns didn't mean jack shit. You know, nothing's changed. Nothing's going to change until someone forces a change. And when that happens, I want to make sure you're on the right fucking side of the...
I just approach her and give her a hug.
She's very tense.
I know.
It's like hugging brick.
And I whisper to her, I know you want to protect me. You've been like this since I was embraced. And then I let go.
It's probably a good thing you let go when you did. Because as receptive as she normally is...
Yeah, she's
She is... It's... She's very, 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 very wound up. And in Kindred, that's a bad thing. In a Bruja, that's dangerous.
I get it. But I didn't ask for any of this, and you have to remember that.
It doesn't matter what you ask for, Moses. It doesn't matter anymore what you ask for, because shit comes your way. It's what you do off your own back.
Well, what I'm doing off of my own back is staying alive and keeping my coterie out of trouble until I can make sure they are no longer going to be getting into trouble. Because right now I'm sick of cleaning messes. I'm also sick of not having anyone else to sit down and have a decent chat. And when was the last time we went out dancing?
Well, as you said, Moses, we've been a bit busy.
Yes. But it's been months since we had a chat. I know you've had your shit and I've had mine. And yes, you shouldn't be angry at me, but you are. And it's okay, I know you don't mean it. Don't you think for a second that I think any less of you because of that. I still love you.
Don't.
Come on.
Don't. Fuck you.
Yeah, I know.
No, fucking... And she just marches towards the door. Grabs the door, she pauses in the door, almost like she's going to say something else. And then she just throws it open and just walks out.
Right. I just go and walk around the house. Actually, no. I go outside.
Okay.
Go outside going back to the domain. But I don't park at the cross hands, and I just spend the rest of the night around the main hunting.
Okay.
Try to get my head off of that.
Okay. Benjamin. With Jim, you were on the roof at one point, I think.
On the roof at one point.
Yep. Now you've gone wandering about trying to. Okay. There are within the hotel or around the domain.
Around the domain.
Okay, that's going to take a lot longer.
Yeah.
But we can cover that in a moment. Katia, it takes you not too long to get back. I mean, I'm assuming you're going by.
Tube or whatever public transport I can.
It's easier to navigate when there's not loads of people. I mean, you're not yet early enough where everyone's making the very early morning commutes. You managed to get back relatively quickly, and when you get back in, Mrs. Morovsky's not there. You have to open up with your key. Ben, you can hazard a guess where Ben's probably.
Okay, I will lock the door behind me after I enter, and I will probably start by kind of stomping upstairs. I'll probably go to my rooms first, just kind of put my stuff down, probably change something a bit more comfortable. Then just start wandering down through the house.
Okay.
Just listening to see if I can hear any movement from around about.
Okay. You can hear the stomping. You can hear the noises from upstairs. You can hear Mrs. Morovsky snoring quite happily in the other room, not at all disturbed by the energetic or lethargic, depending on how you look at it, way that Katia's
Purposeful.
purposeful, progressing through the old house. And then, are you going to his room? Are you going elsewhere?
I'll probably knock on his door, yeah.
Come.
I will open the door but not walk in.
So I'll be facing you but not looking at you. I'm looking at the canvas.
Evening.
Do you owe boons?
Why does that matter to you?
Do you?
No.
Huh. The others owe boons.
I mean, I'm not surprised about Jim. But I'm reasonably surprised about Moses. I can see he might have got into some trouble.
Can I ask you something?
You may.
And I would like you to answer honestly, truthfully.
Depends on the question.
Your body has healed from what Darren did.
Yes.
Do you remember still, in your mind, what it felt like when he hit you?
You know, it's hard to remember pain. The body, in some cases, tends to somewhat erase the memory from your mind. But it's easier to remember how you feel during the pain. And I remember anger. And that's the most of it.
Anger.
Why? Is this some investigation into Kindred psychology?
No. I'm trying to capture truth, and I've been failing. Very badly. But I'm going to get it right this time. Thanks to you.
Is this some new project of yours?
Yes.
And why is the truth of my pain so important to it?
Because art is truth. And sometimes the truth gets lost between there and here. Gets lost. And that won't do.
I would say that good art is truth, but I would say that most poor art is a lie. I would argue that science is truth.
You understand? Yes.
I understand my way of looking at it, yes.
Michael Chase has made me an offer, a deal. I think he knows what we did.
I'm not surprised. I expect most of the council know. The question is if they care.
I think he'll care if I don't take his offer.
And what did he offer you?
To wipe away the boons that 2 of the coterie owe.
I wonder if he's insinuating that maybe we will all be owing more boons soon. You think that is a possibility?
He insinuated that if I don't take the deal, it would be unwise.
Does anyone else know about this meeting?
Yes. There was an observer. I didn't recognize them, but they were there.
And would this deal with Michael Chase prevent that observer from sharing this information? Were they to be aware of it?
I don't know.
In that case, it is not a perfect deal.
The deal is for their boons, not for the secret.
True. I suppose if this deal occurs before such time when we are having to owe more boons, then that would be the case.
I have one night to agree. Or not. By sunrise tomorrow, I have to give an answer.
What deters you from accepting this deal?
He wants my art. He wants first choice for 10 years. My sire will not like it.
Or would Michael Chase necessarily know if you were, well, what are private pieces and what are public pieces? If you create something on a personal basis, surely that does not factor into this deal.
Michael Chase will know.
Yes, I imagine he would.
Thank you for helping.
You're welcome. And I won't even ask a boon for it. And I'll head out slowly.
Okay. You wander, Jim, the extent of the territory, doing your best. It's easier to do even at this hour with only really drunk people wandering around, or people that are just out enjoying a more responsible evening. But even at this late hour, it's easy to ignore them when you're focused and you're walking a path and you're not rushed. There's no pressing concern, not an immediate one anyway. And you note the various cameras, and it takes you a moment of observing them just to realise that it doesn't outwardly look like there's anything wrong until you get close enough to look up underneath them, and all of them have been cut on the wires, just in the cord that goes into the actual camera, right up close, so it's very difficult to see. But it's a uniform thing that's happened with almost every camera around the domain.
Someone's a clever fucker. I'll give a close look, see if there's enough cable that I might be able to try.
Most of these cameras are quite high. I mean, you probably have to climb up and just fiddle with them. Which isn't necessarily subtle, but I mean, the fact that these cameras have been cut, the wires have been cut on them, you probably have to take more than a few moments just to try and sort it, to get the wire reconnected.
Yeah. I'm just gonna, as I've seen more than I'm just gonna focus on one, see if I can maybe get it sorted.
Okay.
Knowing the Moses stuff, but maybe I can figure it out.
Okay. We'll say it's an intelligence plus crafts.
Intelligence plus craft, not technology.
No, because you are fixing or repairing. You are not operating.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the problem is quite obvious. It's not a case of opening it up and reworking it. Even then, it'd probably still be crafts. But
I got nothing in craft, so I wouldn't.
fortunately, there's no increase or difficulty or anything like that in this version. It's just
That's one success.
one success. Okay. It's difficult to do, given where it's positioned. You only managed to get to this one because it is positioned in such a way where if you lift yourself up onto a neighbouring gate or fence which neighbours it, you can pull yourself up just enough that you can lock your legs in and just begin working. There's a few moments where you just descend quickly because you can hear people coming around the corner. And after about a good 15 minutes, you finally manage to fiddle with it enough that you can connect the wires and tie it. It's really, really poorly done.
Shoddy work,
you're
yeah.
guessing from the sensation that runs up your hands that there is an electrical current that goes through it. You can't really tell just by looking at the camera whether it works. If it does, Moses, when he looks back, is probably just going to get an eyeful of Jim. But you think it's worked. You know there's a current that's just run through it. Whether or not it holds,
I go thinking about that, thinking, right, there's one. I know, knowing that it's uniform across the lot. I'm thinking that Moses is probably gonna have better luck this than myself, but maybe you'll show me so we can get this shit sorted.
I mean, this is a very much temporary fix what
Yeah.
you've done. And there's a lot of cameras that Moses has put up because Moses he's thorough.
I get another one. I think put Moses before looking at the rest, and head back to.
Okay. By the time you get back, this is about roughly the same time that Katia has gone in, started having this discussion, and as you're coming through the door, you're beginning to backpedal out of his room, and you can hear that of the door shutting behind Jim. No longer having any unbroken windows to climb in through. Unless there is, Jim.
I'm gonna just head up to the roof.
Okay. So as you're backpedaling out of Benjamin's room, you turn the corner just in time to see Jim retreating up the stairs, back towards the roof. Anything else you three want to do towards the end of the night? You're hunting. You've got at this point, it's probably between about 2 and, well, it's about closing in on 3 o'clock at this point. So you've got 3 hours, pretty much, in which to get anything done that you want to do before the next night.
I would like to carry on exploring the upper couple of floors of the house, activating unseen presence see the unseen, the other one, every once in a while, and just frustrated that I haven't worked out what's going on yet. Because a lot of stuff happened, a lot of people seem to have forgotten, but it's been really bugging Katya that they haven't got to the bottom of the weird stuff that's been happening.
Okay. Benjamin, I can hazard a guess at what you're going to do.
So I'm kind of getting myself psyched up for tomorrow's paintathon,
Okay.
and I guess the thing that he's trying to do in this last bit of the night is, because obviously he had heightened senses up for that. Did he capture the micro expressions when she was talking about the anger and the things?
I'd say yeah.
So he's going to be making sure he's got the kind of the right lines of the face, where the kind of those kind of lines for the anger bit, and so that
I'd say with heightened expressions and the fact that you stage this with the intention of trying to get a response, I'd say you could lower the difficulty to 4.
So that's what I'm doing.
Cool.
Ready for tomorrow.
Okay.
Jim's going to be on the roof, just doing a bit of lookout for the next maybe hour and a half, and then send a group text. It says, if possible, please join me on the roof.
Okay.
I will text back and say, is the roof shingles or is it flat? Can you see this? Can you? Okay, not in text mode. Can you actually see this from the outside? Because I guess most Georgian buildings have a flat roof rather than a pitched roof.
Based upon the fact that people have been up there,
Yeah.
So imagine him like trying to
yeah,
balance
this
on the
completely
shingles.
changes the whole.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes from being Batman to being Spider-Man at this point. It changes the whole aspect. But no, I'd say it's flat.
Alright, well, I will. I mean, I imagine it doesn't take me that long to wander around the house. It's not huge.
I do need a wits plus all specs from you.
Lovely. Okay. And wits plus all spec. Does see the unseen mean anything to this roll?
I think it just makes it possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you add anything to this roll?
I don't think it's
I think
just
it just
wits plus
allows
all
you-
specs, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think anything gets added. I don't have any specialties. Oh wait, 1 have I? That's one success. Sorry, really hard to read dice.
It takes you a few minutes of going back and forth between the rooms, and the last room that you come to is the collection room.
Which I did not disturb.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I know. I corrected on the notes. It's fine.
As you open it and have a look in, you have a glance and nothing seems to be out of place, but just you're pulling the door to, you stop and have another look, and the pile, you could swear, is slightly bigger than it was previously. But as you're kind of observing this, you just glance up in towards the darker corner of the room, and it takes a moment for you to kind of realise, and you swear you can see an outline of a figure, and its head just cants as it observes you, and then it just vanishes.
I kind of want to say she's really excited by this. Like that slightly terrified excitement. And I say, I'm a big admirer of your work, and then leave.
With the door shut? Or the door
If the door was shut when I came by, I will
It
shut it
was.
after me, whatever they
You
prefer
pull
it
it
as.
shut.
And then I will make my way up to the roof.
Okay. Jim, a couple of minutes after you've sent out this message, you can hear the footsteps coming up, and then the door opens and Katya emerges.
I'm sat pretty much right on the edge, legged literally over the side, looking out.
Am I able to join this, or do I need to stay?
Where's your cape?
Up to you. Are you going to be painting tomorrow, or are you going to be painting for the remainder of the night? At this point, you've already failed your first one.
Yeah, no. What I mean is that if I do, I feel like I need to stay and prep at this stage, or exclusively, or could I pop to the roof for 5-10 minutes, or do I feel like I need to stay because it's this moment?
It
or I
depends
lose
entirely
it?
on you. I mean, nothing's going to change in terms of the roll. It's still going to be a difficulty 4 mechanically, but it's entirely.
Actually, no,
on you.
I don't think he will leave. I think he's going to be too obsessed with the pun.
It's just Katya that
Sorry,
emerges.
I do want to go, but I just don't think he would.
Damn your persistence.
I know.
So, Katia emerges, Jim.
I see the others have been responsive.
Well, Ben is not the most responsive I've seen.
Especially this evening.
No, and the other night as well. Went fucked up a bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, part my fault. But then again, if if you let me know before you guys got the crap out and the crap kicked out of you, maybe this could have been avoided. But hey ho, it's in the past now.
Indeed. Now, was there something you wanted to talk about?
Well, I've already let Moses know, but Tyler Adams' remains, the rest of the remains are disposed of.
Suppose that's something else off the to-do list.
Yes, of course I know that I figured that I would have to deal with it, but then again, that's the gangle for you.
Well, methods aside, you do deal with things.
Yes, and I need to... I'm used to working alone. I need to learn to work as part of this coterie.
Indeed. I don't know what it is you've heard about my clan, but I think many assume that we don't work well with others. And the funny thing about that is I think that's less true for our clan than it is for most others. When no one else trusts you, you have to work together. And I think that is something we as a coterie now face. All of us. No one in the city is going to trust us.
No. Tell me, what do you see when you look out over the kind down there?
I see people.
Just people? Is drunk down there?
Well,
Well,
yes,
looks like a
if
happy couple
I linger on
kissing
any
up
one
there.
person, I can conjure any means of life stories for them, but I tend to focus on whatever is integral to the moment. And unless the need arises, I don't focus too much on the lives led by those that we have left behind.
Interesting that you focus on the lives rather than the setting.
Well, you asked me about the people, not about the setting.
Is it true?
As for a setting, I see an environment that is apt for people like you and people like Moses. Somewhere where you can hunt with impunity. Somewhere where your strengths clearly flourish.
Me? I see a world down there that I am forced to prey upon. Because of things beyond my fucking control.
Who forces you to prey upon them?
In a way, my sire. I'm forced to survive.
Your sire never instructed you to try feeding from animals? It is an option.
Oh, it is an option. But then again, do you see many animals around here? And have you tried a rat's blood, for fuck's sake? God, it's disgusting.
No, I can't say I have.
Yeah. Well, if you're ever really hungry and you're under the tunnels underground, there are rats down there. Shove the fingers which are still bitten.
Yeah, you should fix that before you go out into any social spaces.
Yeah, me and social don't go well together.
I guessed.
I'm more clean-up guy because I'm the gangrel. I know. But then again, I think this coterie is diverse, and that could be a good thing.
Indeed, I agree. I think it's funny that several other kindred have already remarked as to the odd makeup of our group, but I think indeed in time that could prove to be a strength. And I think whilst it may be difficult and whilst it may take quite some effort on the parts of all of us, if we can make this work, all four of us, and we're all going to have to want to make it work. If we can, then I think we will have something that not many other kindred in the city have.
Yes. Well, my clan generally focuses on being able to work alone, but this is not... I need to learn these streets more. It's not the streets where I came from, which I knew. These streets I need to learn, which is something that I can then prove useful for the coterie. That and I can take a hit.
Yes, and you can also deal one. But I think it comes more down to knowing the moment to deal said hit.
Yeah. Gonna need to teach Benjamin to show up when there's an emergency as well, because then they wouldn't have this frickin' Stephen situation to actually completely deal with. I should just move that fucking head.
Yeah, you probably should have removed the head. But, like you said before, there's nothing we can do to change what has been done. We can only deal with it in the best manner possible. Now we have seen some way into doing that, and, well, at this point, well, I voiced my concerns to Moses that swapping the evidence that has already been photographed, already been recorded and spread, it only goes so far.
You showed me a quick glimpse of the files, and honestly, I don't understand fucking heads or tails of it. Really?
Well, that doesn't really matter. The question is, the police probably do.
I'm gonna pull the block out of the pallet and go, I have my own claws, and you've taken a hit. You might find this a touch more useful. Toss it to her.
Narrowly avoiding dropping it over the
Yeah.
edge.
Well,
I suppose thanks are in order.
yeah. I checked it. You've only got about 3 rounds in there, but Moses is capable. He might be able to get you some more ammo.
Right.
It's probably wise I don't have it, because that thing's fucking loud.
Yeah, and I'm not just going to carry it around everywhere, you understand?
I'm aware.
Right. And I feel like it's not something we should... it's not something that Benjamin should handle either.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Why do you think I'm giving it to you?
Yes, I'm very grateful for that insight. Does Ben know you had it?
Nope, neither does Moses.
Might be best to keep it that way for now. I'll look after it, I promise. I won't be irresponsible with it.
Out of them, out of all of us, you're probably the most responsible.
The most responsible so far.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Anything else you need to talk about?
Moses' cameras. Need to make sure he knows that they were all cut the same way.
Do you think it was Tyler's lot?
Potentially. But if so, that means we have an enemy around here. And that means we'll definitely need to band together.
I mean, I'd hazard a guess to say we have several enemies around here. It could have been his band, or it could easily have been our mystery neighbour, of which I really, really hope Moses can dig something up on soon.
You mean the ghost?
Oh, no, I don't think they leave the bounds of the house, if I'm honest.
I'd ask Mrs. Morovsky about that. She might know a thing or two. She's lived here considerably longer.
I'll ask if she's noticed anything peculiar, probably tomorrow night. I'd be very surprised if we see her before we turn in.
Yeah. You have a way with words, so better let you handle that than I.
I will see what I can find. Although, whilst we're on the subject, there's a room on, and I tell him where the room with the pile of dead creatures is. Do not, and I really must impress upon you that this could be quite important, don't disturb that pile of husks of dead creatures. I wouldn't want to upset our housemate.
Interesting.
Yes.
My focus has been less on the layout of here and more layout of the domain.
Well, it's worth as a group us having a handle on both. But yes, just to let you know, yeah, don't mess with that. Don't probably best not to talk shit about them either. I'm honestly not sure what their self-esteem game is, or whether they even hear what we would say in the same way we would hear each other. I really must find out more about it. In fact, if there's nothing else pressing, I might just go and see if I can dig anything up. Was there anything else pressing?
No, really.
All right.
Thank you.
No worries. Happy surveillance. And I will head to my room.
Okay. Are you heading back down as well?
Jim's spending the rest of the time he's got just on the roof.
Okay. You're gonna need a chair up there.
Jim just sits on the side of the roof. Just sit.
Oh yeah. Also, for now, I would like to hide the Glock.
You're gonna hide. Where are you gonna hide it?
Any floor that Mrs. Moravsky is not in.
For now, I'll probably just put it on. For now, I'll probably just pack it into my mattress or something. Or under the mattress. Like I'm of the impression that only Jim knows about it, and the others won't be inclined just to go up into my room. So.
You hope.
I hope.
You hope.
I hope.
So. How are you hunting, Moses? In the aftermath of your meeting with Alice.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to see anybody.
Okay.
I want to sandman it.
How's that going to Phil?
To whom? Phil.
Uh-oh.
It's probably ETA 5 minutes until he makes you something awful.
Frenzy! So, what is your plan, Moses?
I'm just gonna go around the domain where I was teaching
Okay.
Ben a couple of nights ago. Basic stuff. Because I assume I took him to the sort of like the easiest area to hunt-ish. Maybe darkest or no neighborhood watch or whatever. And I just try to find any of the houses that I've been casing that I know that has people in it, and I break in to feed.
Okay. Dex plus stealth, please. With your... No, Dex plus... Whichever one you've got the breaking and entering.
It's stealth,
Yeah. Because you've been here before, and because you were with him when he was noting the buildings, it will be a reduced difficulty again. It is worth noting, however, that if you guys hit the exact same places repeatedly, it will impact.
Yeah, of course.
Just worth giving you a heads up. So difficulty for this one will be... What is your set one? It's 5 normally.
5, yeah.
So it'll be 4 for this one. 3.
3 successes.
Do you want to succeed at a cost?
Yes, please.
Okay, what is your current hunger? Okay. You enter into one of the most pristine looking houses you've seen for a while. And whether or not it's just lingering frustration or whatever other emotions you're feeling in the aftermath of Alice's response to your claims, you enter with perhaps a little bit more exuberance than intended. There's no sounds. There is a busted lock involved on one of the windows, but it's not something that someone could notice from outside when you push it to, and you stop and you listen. and there is no other sounds coming from in. There was no lights on, but you know there's people here. And you go back to the bedroom that you recognise in hindsight this being one of the buildings you visited previously, the one with the older couple. And when you enter into the bedroom, it takes you a few moments just to adjust to the darkness, and you realise then that the old lady that was there before isn't currently there. It's the old guy, the old man that you fed from previously, and he's asleep there with what looks to be, you're not sure whether or not it looks like a dress or something similar. It's just there next to him. And as you begin looking at it, you realise that he is still awake. But he's not responding to the noise you made coming in, and he's not moving. But you do see that he is just looking at this blouse. And it takes you a long moment to kind of realise that as you step forward and have a look, the reason that he's not moving is because what is next to him on the side of the cabinet looks to be a lot of empty bottles of something.
I wait until he dozes off.
Okay. It takes a while. And it's only through observing the slow movements of his hands over the fabric of this dress, this blouse combination that's beside him, in this place where this woman was lying when you were last here. The slow speed of the hand gets slower and slower, and his breathing becomes more and then he just stops.
Just going. I'm just going to feed off of him.
Okay, how much you taking?
2.
Okay. It's still warm, and that perhaps is the oddest sensation. There's a part of your mind, even as the euphoria of the kiss begins pushing back whatever feelings you felt over witnessing this man's passing. There's a gnawing sensation where the lack of his response to the pleasure of the kiss is oddly prominent. You're oddly aware of the fact he's just not moving. But that contrasts strongly with the fact he's still warm-blooded. He still feels, as you're feeding from him, as though he's alive. And it's a striking contrast that just persists in your mind as you just drink and drink. And then finally when you pull away, and you feel that tightness begin to lessen in your gut, and you just lick away the puncture marks, he just hasn't moved from when you approached him.
Just go back to the haven.
Okay. It's getting very late in the morning by the time you are all collectively under the same roof. But at this point, with Mrs. Morovsky's snores radiating happily from her room, you are all back within safety, and you all begin feeling that strong pull. That same familiar sensation, which, despite the fact you felt it every single morning of your unlives, it still feels alien, it still feels horrid. But it serves its purpose, and it convinces you all to return to your respective rooms, to shy away from any possible brush with daylight. And then, with all of your eyes open, with all of your limbs just falling limp, you stop functioning. And then, rouse checks, please.
really want to pass this one.
I'm on a streak right now.
Don't say that.
No, no,
Why did you say that?
First time I've...
Oh!
Because it's carrying on.
Oh, wow. Yeah, but his might not.
No, I didn't.
No!
That's the first time I
Did you all
failed.
fail?
Wait,
God.
I had
Success.
I've been really
I
unlucky around
stay,
checks
stay
lately.
at Hunger 1.
Me too.
Okay, so Hunger 1, Hunger 1.
Hunger 3.
2.
Okay.
Probably Hunger 4 shortly.
It's an involuntary intake of breath that each of you takes as your bodies just begin
Oh, breathe in a spider.
pulsing through. Sure. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Spindle Shanks.
As each of your bodies become animate in that kind of single pulse of the heart that reanimates you, and then before it becomes inanimate, you're just suddenly aware, and your senses just switch on slowly one after the other. The very first one becoming taste and smell, and then your eyes begin to adjust into the darkness around you and your hearing, and you all begin looking around your rooms. What are you doing, guys? You are now all awake, roughly about 1800, 6 p.m.
I think Kat and I wake
Well,
up
yeah,
first, but
That's right.
I will...
But you wake up slightly before that time.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call Alice, which I know is gonna go straight into voicemail,
It does.
because I know she sleeps in. And I give her a chapter and verse about my hunt, but in a way that relates to, like, last night after our talk, I went hunting. Didn't want to talk to anyone. And found out a man lying in his bed. I fed from him before. He was next to his wife. She's no longer there. Her blouse was in her place. And that man could not bear her absence. That made me think. I don't want to lose you over something stupid. Give me a call.
You send the message, and even though you're well aware she probably won't respond to it, at least not immediately, there's always that
She has it, and I
double check, just in case. It's almost like you're willing it to respond, but it doesn't. There's no immediate response. But as you're busying yourself around and you glance over at your computer, you do realise that there is a email there from Alan Burr.
Nice. 2 nights in a row. Nice.
Okay. So, are you checking it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So as you go and look at it, it basically lets you know. Addressed to Jonah Sullivan?
Yeah, Jonas Sullivan. Yeah.
Yep.
To the desk of Jonas Sullivan.
To the desk of Jonah Sullivan. It says, Mr. Sullivan, I am writing to inform you of my continued interest in the case. I would request a conversation with the victim in question, Mrs. Morovsky, about pressing charges. It's also worth noting that due to a contact in the police that I still maintain, that I was able to deduce that Darren and Maisie Fitcher have fled London. And it is his belief, because when he sent the police officer around to Darren Fitcher's place, he wasn't there. And he basically catalogued what it took, tried to deduce what was there and where they're likely to have gone. And you know that this police officer, although it doesn't refer to him by name, your previous dealings with Alan Burr make this clear. You can probably guess which one it is.
of his
It's the
friends?
one that sympathises more with his uneven measure of justice.
Yeah.
But
With his vision. He's a visionary. Come
Yes.
on. You're painting him on an unfair light. He's a visionary of law and justice.
sure.
Let's say just justice in the biblical sense, but
Okay.
justice, yes.
And it is Alan Burr's belief, although it is not proven, that Darren Fitcher is likely to fled to Kent, where his ex-girlfriend, Tanya Gifford, resides. Based upon his own investigations into this case, as quickly undergone as they have been, he believes that the reason that they've gone there is although his relationship with Tanya is strained, it's well known that Tanya held quite a strong affection for Maisie. And in their breakup, and during the strained periods that followed, there was occasions where Maisie would try to run away from home to her.
Oh, so the missing specialist report, he went through the whole thing.
So it is, this is Alan.
He's good. Yeah, come on, he's good. He's
So it is extremely likely that if he's fled anywhere, it's likely to be there.
Okay.
He could be wrong, but that is his assumption. It's a pretty it's a pretty short response, but it is mainly just to let you know that he is currently looking into it. However, he does require a conversation with Miss Morovsky because he wants her to press charges for the assault and her to come forward.
Yeah, because after I assume that the police questioned her in the hospital because she did say that she had she had to say that I was clubbed in the head. You know, it's like
he hasn't really mentioned on anything with regards to Mrs. Morovsky's current testimony, but it makes it, based upon the way he's wording it, it sounds like he needs her to come forward, probably suggesting to you that Mrs. Morovsky probably wasn't that helpful in the discussion with the police.
And I take the guise of Jonas Sullivan, or better yet, not risk it and stay nice. I text Katya, like, hey, look at, like, you would not believe what I have on my computer, and you know, semicolon and closing bracket.
Expressions and everything.
And I just sit down and play whatever.
Okay.
I'm feeling retro, so I'm gonna go with a Sega Genesis.
You feel a nudging against your side. Foggy has returned.
When
Seems
she's
to have
arriving,
forgiven you.
I am probably on the ground playing with Foggy when she comes back. Foggy!
In that exact way is how he's playing. Are you going down?
Before I've gone downstairs, any books or any kind of physical information that I might have on supernatural this is a hard
Phenomenon.
word. Phenomenon.
Yeah, I do know.
I have kind of grabbed, and I'm kind of like, if I have anything, then I will be kind of carrying it with me.
So taking a considerable number of books downstairs, you emerge to Moses's door. You come to Moses's door, which I'm guessing is still unlocked, or locked rather.
Jim's first move would have been
yeah.
get her to roll out from under the bed where he's actually been sleeping. Considering the last time he was in there, the window was smashed and a note was left beside him. He's been under the bed for more safety and gone down to Moses.
Okay, so you're both down there roughly about the same time. You would have seen Katya juggling with a number of books. How have you?
Could you get the door?
Who is it?
Two of us.
Me.
I open the door and go back. Foggy! I guess playing with Foggy.
Okay.
Open the door, let Katy go in and
Thank you.
Before you resume this conversation, what are you doing?
So I'm going to. I don't think Benjamin can group text, so I think he'll individually text the coterie. But then he'll start painting.
Okay.
Because I have a plan.
Okay.
So the text will be to catch you. It'll probably be, we should probably have a coterie meeting tonight. And
Flat meeting, guys.
to Moses, it'll be, really need to speak to you. Can't leave my room. Sorry. And to you, it'll be, sorry about last night. Can you come to my room? Can't leave room. Sorry.
Well, to all of you, I will say some of the best storylines begin with, I have a plan.
So yeah.
Uh-oh.
So you would, or
There will be a delay between each text because obviously I've got to type the next one. I'm quite slow.
Yeah. So Katya, you would have received yours first as you're descending, although you wouldn't have looked at it because your hands are full of books. Moses, you would have gone as you got up to go towards it, and Jim, as you're stepping down the stairs into the basement, that's when you would have received yours, being the longest. So you all would have received these texts.
I just let them in, help Katya to put things on the books on the table, and then I told her, like, look what I got,
Okay, fine.
so she can read the
What
email.
have you got?
This is Alan Burr. He's a lawyer. He's happy to take on the case. And he's already figured out that Darren's no longer here in London.
Oh, thank
Well,
God
that's
for that.
good news.
Most likely he went to Kent. He already has some friends at the police looking for the guy. He just wants a statement in which Mrs. Murawski is, let's call her, very cooperative with the police, so
Of
she
course.
can officially press charges, or however you run it here with the weeks and stuff.
I'm sure we can facilitate that.
Can you please convince Mrs. Murawski to be happy and helpful? Like Alan Burr is he's a really nice guy.
I can try. Would Alan Burr come here? I feel that Miss Swarovski would be more comfortable in her own home.
I would argue that the best thing is for her to call him,
Right.
and
okay.
then they can set it up.
Right. I'll speak to her later. Well, not too much later. In the meantime, you know your spectre. Well, I actually almost initiated somewhat of an actual two-way. Well, I say conversation, but it was nearly there. But anyway, I saw them.
Them?
Well, I don't know if they're male or female. I mean, if you're not comfortable with them being in the building, then all you need to do is avoid the room on the second floor, third to the right. I think that's somewhat of a little sanctuary for them.
I'm googling. Well, not googling at that point. It would be Yahoo.
Do not disturb it, because I'm pretty sure that
Exorcist priest.
will piss them off. I'd suggest for now we just remain as we are. I mean, there's no reason to offend our. Well, if anything, we're the visitors. I'm sure they've been here much longer than we have.
Would it work if we put some holy water?
No.
Sprinkle it from
The more you do to agitate this entity,
the door, so he cannot open it, but he can be comfortable inside.
I wouldn't be
Stays.
comfortable if you barred me inside my room.
On
I would be
another
the
note,
opposite of comfortable.
You will be uncomfortable just because you were dead. You should be
Well, let's
somewhere
look
else.
at it this way. The more that you personally piss off this housemate of ours, the more that they are going to pick on you particularly.
No.
Yeah. Yes.
On
So I
another note-
suggest you don't mess with them.
On another note, Moses, I had a little look around your cameras around the domain.
Let's go.
They were all cut. You want me to deal with that, do you?
Are you happy?
Thank you.
I remember you
Commanded on
saying.
the wall.
I'll deal with that in a
I remember you saying last night that the next time you call me to help you out to move the body, to not get creative and try to cut it.
Let's just remove the whole body back to here so we can just dispose.
Next
of the body.
time you get shot
I didn't get shot.
at,
Yeah. First time. For
let us know beforehand. Getting out the body was a no-go. That's why Benjamin probably did not even stop around.
He actually showed up.
We weren't there. He even took the license plate off of his car because we were hoping and expecting to get the body out.
Yep.
He bolted because there were too many eyes. My choice to hit the fire button was actually because leaving the house was not an option. Not with a body.
Where are you? Next time, let's just say remove item of body that was.
Hold on.
No.
No.
Next
backtrack.
time, there will be no body.
No. There will not be a next time.
Yeah, next time there will be no body.
No, there won't be full stop. This situation won't arise. It doesn't matter if whatever might result in a body won't happen. Are we clear?
Well, the thing is that Tyler Adams was a body that we had to deal with.
Yes, but he's a body that's already off the kind radar. Now,
Darren
that's
attacked
different.
you, and well, you were technically a body.
Yes, but the body got up.
Yeah,
And
right,
walked
exactly.
home.
we've
So-
decided my little point. Your cameras. They're
I
all
know.
cut the same way.
We've known.
I've had a little look at one and had a little go at fixing it. I think it might be up. I'm not sure.
Just check.
It's up, but there is heavy kind of
interference and static and all that.
It's up though, but it's
When, like, how...
you get a headache from watching it for too long.
Where are they cut? Like,
They're all cut the same way. It's a uniform cut. So we got a smart fucker out there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. How do you put it together?
I know a couple of bits about tech. I don't know an awful lot. I figured I'd give it a go. As
Yeah, the wires were there, and if the wires were caught, it's a matter of putting them back together.
yeah, maybe that's something that you can show me.
No, actually, what we need to do is to set it up with dummy wires. Basically, the wires that you see are the wires that are not sending the feed. So we'll have to find new places to put the cameras.
And find a place to put cameras.
That'll take weeks just to find the best places, and then I don't know how long until we can actually set them up. What do you think?
Oh.
It'll be a while
I've got
before we all have this.
I mean, I can only suggest that we start with strategically the most important points.
Yes.
Get those done this week, ideally.
Jim's probably already thinking of that, having looked over the domain. You probably want this area, this area, this area. That's probably where you want. Have a look at the streets, sir.
Yeah, that's something like that. I take out my map.
In the meantime, I will check my phone. Oh, text.
So, whatever areas we're gonna be using, that like for vigilance, it's not gonna give us a lot of well, we're not gonna know in advance. So, it's mostly gonna be for us to keep track of who's coming in and coming out. Good thing is, less cameras means less of a burden, and I can actually record most of it.
If you've got the recording of when they last cut out, we might be able to have a look at who
They went dead.
just went dead.
We checked it. Benjamin
Just went dead, and no one saw on any of them.
Well, you would have like the camera being pointed at a specific location, and probably they came around the back or the side or whatever. They're not like three. No, they're not. No.
But they would have had to know where every single one of them was, and to get under them.
They could have been casing the area for weeks.
On the other hand, they could have been a kindred old enough to be able to, well, confound cameras like that. They might not show up.
I like that idea better than the one with the ghost.
They
actually.
Cut out around the time Tyler Adams showed up. Right?
Yeah. So my guess is Thin Bloods.
So, well, Thin Bloods are capable of that.
On the other hand,
Of
Tyler
cutting
Adams,
cameras? Yes.
Of being invisible.
Oh, I don't know.
On the other hand, that would be a very tasty scapegoat for anyone else who might not have our best interests at
Yeah,
heart.
actually, we are already not favorites among the Anarchs.
I'm not surprised.
But it's because of Tyler. I mean, what Tyler was doing was a little bit of sticking it to the man, so to speak.
Yeah.
Harboring Thin Bloods when the prince, which is his clanmate.
Again, all I know of that situation is what the three of you told me.
What?
Well, as in I wasn't there.
Oh, well, basically, what everybody else knows is that Tyler showed up to pay us a visit. We called the constable. Tyler's dead.
Ben called it constable.
Yeah. Try to
this
explain
thing
that.
about group accountability.
So that's what other people think. So whomever liked Tyler doesn't like us very much. Whomever hated him, not necessarily likes us. Let's just say likes us less.
As an easy cat's paw. Someone who will go squealing to the constable quite quickly. Speaking of Ben,
oh yeah, I have to talk to him. Yeah.
Yes.
Let me go upstairs and let him
Now I
in.
check my phone. I want him as well. Fucking hell.
Shall we?
Yeah, let's go upstairs.
Alright.
You do have a second text, by the way.
I look at it. Which from?
It's from your kind acquaintance, Mr. Peyton. It simply says, shh, SH, and is sent.
was really bad.
Just SH.
Just SH.
There'll be another one with IT.
And it was sent last night, or rather this morning, leading up towards 5 o'clock.
Sorry about that. Is Mrs. Moravsky in the counter?
She is.
I don't want to go into a mask of 1,000 faces.
I will.
Can you distract her?
It's worth noting that to get to Benjamin's room, you don't need to go past Mrs. Moravsky.
Yeah, but we're getting out of the basement. And then we go through the lobby. So I have to take the stairs. Like, in order to get from my room to his room, I have to go past her.
Okay.
Sadly.
Distract her.
Sorry?
If you want to distract her.
Yeah.
She is reading the newspaper.
Yeah, the good thing is that where I am, I don't have to go through her to get to my room, so I can go in and out without being seen. But if I want to go deeper into the place, she's going to see me. So...
Would you like me to try and get her to call your friend?
Yes.
Well, I'll go see
See,
if I can sort
two
that out.
stones, one bird.
Yes, if she seems deeply in conversation, then that's your cue.
Thank you.
And I will head up first and with this little slip of paper with the phone number on it, I will go around the desk. Good evening.
Good evening, Katya, Dad.
Good evening, Julia. It's lovely to speak to you again. How are you keeping?
Oh, I'm well.
Sure you're feeling all right?
I'm doing well. How are you, darling? You look pale.
Yes, I've been a little bit under the weather recently. I think it's just a cold. It's that time of year.
I think
catch
everyone's
them.
getting it.
I
Dear.
catch them very easily.
I haven't seen many faces around early hours. You promised me you'd all be up.
Oh, well, it's not very late now. It's
Well, what's the time?
it's nearly must be around 7ish by now. Anyway, I've been meaning to have a word with you, about what happened the other night, that whole dreadful affair. We think there could be someone who could help out bring that awful excuse for a gentleman to justice, if you'd be interested. It would stop him ever coming by again, ever causing any trouble or damaging your property.
Who is this person?
He is I think he's a barrister. He is very good at kind of tracking the man down, and he would be able to kind of bring him to justice properly. And he's very dedicated to what he does, and he's very interested in helping.
Is he with
you
the
out.
police? They're really unhelpful. I spoke to them the other day, the day I was under attack, and they treated me like I was senile.
Did they?
Yes.
That's unacceptable.
I am not senile. I am
No,
extremely
you're not.
in control of my capabilities.
Absolutely. I don't think I've ever met a lady more on the ball than you.
I've ran this place for so long off of my own back and my own steam and effort, and they think I'm incapable.
It's
Just like those doctors. I said I was fine.
and you are.
I am. I'm here.
You are. You're
I
doing
walked
a
all the way from the
fantastic job.
hospital on my own.
In any case, this chap, as I understand, uses the police, but he has a lot more respect for people he deals with, and he is a lot more dedicated to making sure that the perpetrator is brought to a strict justice.
Okay.
Would you be able to maybe give him a telephone call just to have a chat with him?
What now?
Oh, not necessarily now. Just sometime maybe this evening.
It's awfully late, Katya.
I think he's very good. He's got very diverse opening hours. He'd probably still receive you if you wanted to call him tonight. Otherwise, I'm sure tomorrow morning would be acceptable.
Okay. If you leave me the number, darling, I'll give him a ring.
I will. Yes, I've got a slip of paper here. Would you like me to write it down anywhere else for you?
Best write it on the newspaper, darling. I won't do the
Yes,
pen.
of course. I'll write it there as well. I'll put this one on the front desk, and I'll just
Would
write
you like
it
a
down.
cup of tea?
Oh no, I've got to get back to work. I'm sorry. But thank you so much for the offer.
And, I swear there was something I needed to tell you, and I can't remember what it was.
That's all right. Oh, that reminded me, actually. I don't suppose, you ever noticed anything a little funny, have you? Just, sometimes I feel like I hear something, or I see something out the corner of my eye.
You want to get that checked, darling?
Yes, you're probably right. But if you ever do see anything a little odd, please let me know. I love to study things like this. I find it fascinating.
What specifically do you mean?
I don't know. It's. Do you ever watch those funny those television programs where they go into houses and they bring in a bunch of people and they pretend that it's haunted, and obviously it's all made up, but it can be quite entertaining. But then again, there are some people who reckon these things are actually there's something more to it, and I must admit it's always been a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, and I find it very interesting. So things like things moving when you haven't used them or touched them, or noises that don't seem to have an obvious origin, things like that.
Oh, you mean like a ghost?
Yes.
Oh, yes, we do have a ghost. There's an alleged ghost.
Oh, really?
I personally believe it's Peter,
Peter?
my husband.
Oh, really? I don't think I've ever heard you talk about your husband.
No, it's a sad topic.
Yeah, well, I don't want to make you bring it up if it upsets you.
Oh, no, not at all. There's Peter, there.
And she points towards a picture that's got her and another gentleman. It's not too long ago. You're talking about maybe 5 to 10 years or so. It's pictured within this room, oddly enough, different layout. He looks, I guess, quite a squat individual. Smaller than Mrs. Morosky, and she's small. Does not look like the outline of the individual you saw in the corner.
Oh, really? And have you spoken to this ghost at all since you've noticed it, or?
I didn't speak much to him when he was alive, dear. There's not really much to say when he's dead.
Really? That's. I mean, have you interacted with it at all? Have you noticed? Is there anything it seems to do repetitively?
It liked to leave doors open,
Yes, I noticed that.
which was helpful when I forgot my keys.
I imagine it was. How very kind.
And, there was lots of noises going on from upstairs, but I can't get up there anymore. So,
Can't ever going to distract her so I can go upstairs.
I assume that
I am
also.
suggesting you. It's like
Jim's
on
path.
my way up. Katya is supposed to distract Mrs. Murawski so I can just go.
I assumed that I initiated the
Yeah, I mean,
conversation
I thought
so
this
that.
was the distraction.
Yeah, so that she was facing away, but by this point I'm completely engrossed in the conversation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but you mentioned the ghost. Now I was like, and I freeze there, and I just try to sneak away.
Okay, Mrs. Morosky paying absolutely no attention to you.
Brilliant.
Jim's leaning it, listening in, curious and watching most things going. Go on.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, if you ever do notice anything else, or if you want to chat about it anytime, as I say, I love this sort of thing. So if you ever wanted to discuss it anymore, just let me know, all right?
about Peter, or...
Yes. Oh, Peter, yes. And if you do give, is it Alan Burr? If you do give Alan Burr a telephone call, I would love to know how it goes, just because, I want to make sure this whole process isn't too.
Well, I'll try giving him a ring, Katya, love, but if he doesn't get back in touch with me, he should be putting in the legwork if he cares that much.
Absolutely, I agree.
I mean, he keeps odd hours, you say, but I'm up at the crack of dawn and I go to bed at dusk.
It's true.
Not tonight, but in general.
Every time you laugh, Carl.
Sorry.
I don't know what it is about you, but you just make me laugh.
I have a funny face. Yeah, girls say that a lot. It's okay.
I never ghost, and then you'll hear. Wow.
It's a ghost.
Corpse, not ghost. Apologies.
All right. Well, of either of those two subjects, if you did want to chat about them at all, I'm always here to talk to. All right?
And same goes for you, my dear.
Of course. I really enjoy our conversations.
As do I.
Well,
Oh, I got the windows fixed. You might have
yes,
noticed.
I did. It's fantastic. So much better. It's a lot warmer without the draft, I must admit.
Benjamin said that he was allocating for the bill.
Oh, really? Okay, that's very kind of him.
Just let me know how he wants to pay it, and I'll forward it on to them.
Of course, I will find out for you.
Okay. Good evening, Katia.
You too. Enjoy your newspaper.
Don't stay up too late.
I
You
won't.
work too long.
I'll do my best not to. Good night for now.
Good night.
And she goes back to her newspaper.
I'll follow the others.
Yeah, everybody's managed to slip past and get Benjamin's.
As I like, I remark, I like her.
Oh, yes. Come in. Come in.
Go in. Check if someone is coming behind me.
It's only us.
Go in. It's like, I knew it. And I started approaching you. It's like, I knew it.
Yes.
It's Mrs. Moravsky's husband. That's the ghost.
Maybe.
She
well,
said it.
hold on.
Oh,
Maybe.
really?
Yes, she
Oh,
said
goodness.
this.
Sorry, yeah,
What are
I
you
saw
working
some
on?
things. Let's not jump to conclusions. It might not be. What I saw didn't closely resemble that portrait at all.
Oh crap.
But let's, for now, remain respectful, and if any further developments occur, we can deal with them.
I just nosily approach him to tell him the news,
Can
and
we see
he
what-
cuts me off. It's like, "Hey,
Can we see what he's
Well,
painting?
you'll have to come around. I've deliberately set it up,
Yeah.
so you'd have to come. You'd have to like.
So I'm
I mean, you
I'm
piqued my
approaching just to
curiosity
tell
last
him.
night.
Yeah, because of curiosity, and he cuts me off, and I was like, oh, it's a surprise, and I go back.
So
It's the husband. It's the husband.
It's the husband.
Not
Well, I wouldn't have guessed
necessarily.
that. You don't think she seems too nice? You know.
Oh no, there's no
Because-
way that she did him.
I mean, I don't know much about ghosts myself, but I'm fairly sure that they, you don't just die naturally and become a ghost, do you? It's something terrible that happens.
I mean, I do think that's
probably he wants to
to
stay
some
behind
extent
and
some
take
form of
care
pop
of her.
culture, but if I find anything, I have a lot of resources. I will let you know.
that would be good because it is quite unnerving when things,
I will definitely
Unlock
be
or
trying to
open
look at
or-
what he's painting. No, after the conversation, I'm too curious.
So are you coming around?
I guess, yeah, I'm doing a lazy kind of pacing arc around the room, like hands behind my back.
Okay. Before we launch into this discussion, guys, we are going to have a break. Quick break. Go and do a bit of discussion between you guys, and we will come back. Just don't want to leave it too late for the
Yep.
break. So we are going to take how long now, guys?
Probably about 10 minutes, given what we've got.
10 minutes. 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minute break, and we will be right back, guys. Right, we'll see you in a moment.
Alright.
Over to you guys.
Okay, shall we start with the board?
Let's start with the board. So, excitement. We promised string. There is more string.
We got string.
So,
There we go.
Right. Shall we start at your end and work our way across?
yeah, although ironically you're at this end, and but we can.
Yeah.
So, do you want to do?
Yeah, so there haven't really been many additions to my side, other than that I have actually connected Sabine up to Katia now with some nice red string. I haven't changed any opinions that are currently on there, but I might put up some new messages before next week. Other than that, I don't think anyone else has been added since last time we did this for me. Moses?
Only added the piece of string for Carrion, aka Sexy Pearl 68. But I have not updated anything because I still think. Well, probably I will add something about Alice because I right now have here that she's like my fun-loving and overprotective big sister, but right now she's more like a pocket rocket waiting to explode.
So similarly, I haven't updated my opinions or anything, but we have added some string, and observant people will notice that Michael Chase has moved from down here to over there, because he's now taken an interest in Benjamin, so we've now got them
I
linked.
think we might need to add an arrow to show that he is most definitely exerting dominance.
yes, I think he might be dominant in the capital D.
A little dominant.
In that front. Can I send that board? I don't know, maybe your way.
Oh yeah,
So-
and
okay.
Jim also has added some string.
Yeah, Jim string.
Oh yes.
So you will notice with the
Appears
board
automatic.
of the dead that we have gone a little bit CSI. We have connected both of the deaths that occurred in a similar fashion, the Blood Eagle's little strange ritualistic murder. Obviously, we don't know who the true perpetrator was, but they both appear to be linked to the same person. So those deaths are actually now connected, and we will do this for any deaths that occur in mysteriously similar circumstances, or by the same person, or
Probably
maybe
me.
or if they have some kind of link elsewise. Other than that, no one else has died yet since last week,
Hooray.
so there aren't any new inhabitants to this board, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
We have enough to sort out as it is.
Cool.
So,
Let's replace.
just a little update this week.
So for the for what I've added for mine is I've added the detective sergeant, which of course came up last week, along with the thing that he's the detective sergeant. Although he's a heavy smoker, he's a good man, far better than Jim probably deserves as a friend.
Could we add there? Fuck's sake, Jim.
Next week, probably.
Because I really like that.
Probably, yeah. He's not a fan of Jim for reasons which may come up in time. I don't know. The other couple of things that has had is a slight couple of changes for these to Benjamin and Katia. So, so to Katia has changed to good with words, could be useful.
Ooh.
As we Jim and Katia have kind of had a little conversation, so he's opening up a little bit. And was to Benjamin, is like he's got a bit of potential, but needs to grow up and actually know that it's a very brutal world out there at times.
So I think that is the board done. Is there malopping to do?
Malopping, we are adding one new place to Moses' amazing list of places. And this is a viewer watching us from Buenos Aires, Argentina. So, muchas gracias, Che. Remember, hashtag Malab. Tell us where you're watching from. I already tweeted a list, but I think for other people on YouTube that would be seeing this later, I will make a proper list and keep it with us. So you can see all the wonderful and fantastic places people are watching. Thank you very, very much. You are the reason we are doing all of this, and you make this possible.
Alright.
So, yeah, rules.
Yes.
Rules. Something that we realised, we might have talked about it long ago, but I don't think we have, which is that we're using V5 as.
So we did chat about this last week. Was there any like things specific you wanted to like ask about? Anything we didn't quite cover?
So I think they've been trying to kind of get their head around what humanities is.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
We can definitely go through that again.
We can do a second rundown of the conviction humanity and
Also,
and
the same
stains.
person says, "Yay, string."
Hey! Yeah, we love string
strings.
here.
It's good
Yeah.
fun.
So, okay, let's start with the basics. In the new B5 system, we're still using a track of humanity, going from 1 to 10. Of course, the higher your humanity, the more humane your vampire is.
Yeah. I'd just say more than previous games, one thing that we do like about the new way humanity's being handled is there's always been this theme of personal horror that's been very integral to Vampire the Masquerade. And sometimes in the past it's felt a little bit like just an arbitrary statistic, but humanity is far more deeply woven into the core mechanics of 5th edition and has a lot more nuance to it and really brings it, I think, to the fore of the game in a really, really good way. And you really can't kind of forget about humanity, and it's when you're doing certain acts, when you're undertaking things that any sane human being would find atrocious, it really will actually have an effect on your characters. To before, where it was just like, oh, this stat's gone down a bit, but it might not matter that much.
Basically, in previous editions that we're touching, because Vampire has always been very unique, portraying actual humanity as something, not only mechanical, but also as part of, as Rachel was saying, part of the game. It no longer has a hierarchy of sins and tenets. You have basics, things that were difficult at some points to literally roleplay because you had examples, but sometimes like how heinous is a heinous crime, you know? But in the new V5 system, in order to give a sense of what it is to be human in the world you're playing, which is an important distinction, there is this notion, this rule and concept, and we're using it of tenets, campaign tenets, which is core to what the Chronicle is about. So we are, particularly for us, we're going for the humanist tenets, which are thou shalt not kill except in self-defense.
Thou shalt not rape or torture.
Yeah. And thou
shalt not harm the innocent.
That was 3.
Which was brought into question.
Well, I think the ST made a ruling.
So
we always go with the ST ruling.
Always ST ruling.
So we have
the fourth Chronicle tenet.
Fourth Chronicle tenet. But we have the tenets, and the tenets are very, very straightforward in their wording, but very broad in what they mean. They have a really, like, all of them make an idea. Other chronicles or campaigns might go into a more sort of medieval or gothic sort of themes, darker themes, grittier.
Obviously, the
street
same
themes.
tenets wouldn't be relevant if you were playing a Dark Ages campaign, for example.
Yeah.
And the book actively encourages you to, as a group, as players in your session 0, to come up with a specific list of tenets which work for you as a group for the sort of game that you want to play. And at the very most basic level, if your character performs an action that goes against the one of these tenets, depending on the severity of this action, you will take a number of stains. And this can vary from 1 stain for... I'm trying to think of something that's 1 stain, but I can only think of bad things right now.
Yeah, well, basically that. Let's say killing someone, even though it's accidental, but when not in self-defense, according to our tenant.
Yeah.
So our tenant says, don't kill unless it's in self-defense. And then you...
Because I possibly nearly killed someone the session before last, and I took 2 stains for that.
Okay.
I think that's also an element of the intent of your character and
Yeah.
how much you're kind of twirling your moustache as you do it, and how much you are feeling that you're forced into doing it.
And the way that this mechanically works is you have your humanity track, which is obviously 10 little boxes. If your humanity is at 7 points, which is the default start position for at least for fledglings and neonates, it can change depending on your background. But default is 7, so 7 of these boxes are essentially filled in. If you took 2 stains, which I did session before last, you put a strike through in 2 of the boxes that remain unfilled. So this meant that at the end of, I believe in the book, at the end of the session, you can roll as many dice as you have unmarked boxes on that track. So obviously for me, 7 had were filled in with my humanity, 2 were struck off for stains, so I had 1 left. And you only need to score 1 success on the dice roll in order to mitigate those stains. So obviously the more empty tracks and dice to roll, the better, really.
So it also means if you're actually a fairly monstrous individual vampire, then you're more likely, if you might do something like murder someone and get a couple of stains, but there'll probably be so many empty boxes, you'll have lots of dice to roll.
Exactly.
So that the odds of your humanity going down get smaller the less humanity you have. And of course, conversely, if you are some saint on humanity 9 or 10, you can pretty much guarantee, you're only ever going to have a dice.
Yeah.
There is one other thing as well, which is if you think of humanity like a health track, and your stains are accruing damage to that health track, If you go over the number of empty boxes, so in the example where you've got a humanity of 7, if you took 4 stains, you can only fit 3 on the box, but you then take aggravated willpower damage for the stuff that goes through. And I believe you also are impaired in some way as well.
Yeah, well,
from that.
You take an impairment, because there's 2 types of impairment. You can have the physical kind that you take in combat, and you can have the one that happens when you either potentially, I believe, run out of willpower or take the damage to it, which essentially means that you take a -2 penalty, but 2 different types of dice pool.
Is psychological trauma, if you want to look at it that way, is you trying to come to terms with what has happened, with being monster. Either way, you always get to roll at least 1 die, even if your track is completely filled. But there is the possibility of traumatizing events, like going through something that completely overwhelms your sense of or your grasp upon the world.
So, I was only going to say, so on the one hand, you have campaign tenets that can get you stains on your soul for your character, and on the other, you have any kind of supernatural evil. So, for example, if you embrace another vampire, if you turn some poor innocent human into your ghoul, those things will get you stains. We mentioned touchstones in a previous talk. Touchstones are ways in which your soulless vampire can hold on to not virtues, but beliefs about the world. And if your touchstone is harmed, especially if you cause harm to your touchstone, that is a major stainable offence. That's lots of stains.
But then the one thing that can mitigate or help you to avoid some of this this havoc that stains can wreak upon you is personal convictions, which I believe were also asked about. Convictions are tied to your touchstones. You have as many convictions as you have touchstones, and should you lose one of those touchstones, you also lose that conviction.
Just worth mentioning that a touchstone is a human being.
It has to be a mortal person. I don't believe it can be another kindred.
No.
And essentially these convictions are almost like personal tenets, and they might, in themselves, contradict the campaign tenets. So, for example, one of our campaign tenets is you shall not kill except in self-defense. But you might have a personal conviction that says that you have to exact justice if it's deserved, for example. So, in some ways, you could be justified in killing someone if you personally believed that it was for the greater good. And if this was the case, then this would reduce the number of stains you would take from committing that murder, essentially, depending on the will of the storyteller. Basically.
Yeah, basically, it's not a get out of jail free card. But as you said, let's say someone who has this conviction of exacting justice, an eye for an eye style, and someone is a murderer, your convictions tell you that he or she should die, but the Chronicle tenets, your humanity tells you killing is wrong.
Yes.
So that is an additional part of the internal struggle of your convictions with the way the world works.
At the end of the day, you're still snuffing out a life with your own hands, potentially, and even if you're completely sure that's justified, that in itself could be considered something that someone with a very high humanity wouldn't have, potentially. It's something that is sometimes up for like a moral debate with the storyteller anyway, in some cases.
The book has a list of examples of great convictions, and what you do when you create your vampire is that you choose, I think it's one to three convictions, and for each conviction you choose a touchstone, someone who embodies that conviction one way or another. So that's pretty much how it works. Like, humanity still helps you in identifying, let's call it, as a human psychologically. You see more, the higher your humanity, the more you see yourself as a human being and less of a monster of the night.
And conversely, if you have a very, very low humanity, other mortals will almost subconsciously avoid you, and other kindred will probably be able to tell the difference.
You're even a little alien to humanity and society. having a high humanity has its perks, of course. The higher your humanity, the easier it is to keep the beast at check. Or pretending to pass as a human with blush of health.
I believe
and other
9 or 10 humanity means you look as if you always have blush of health. You don't which is useful.
Insanely saintly humans, vampires, look like normal pale humans. They don't look like dead walking at all. They reflexively breathe, blink, all of those things. So it has its own perks, has benefits, but is a very tough and dangerous and thankless path to walk.
Especially the older you get.
It doesn't mean that it's not worth walking though.
Indeed.
So I hope that very verbosely lengthy explanation of all 3 aspects of the thing cover your question. But we love it when you send us questions.
Yes.
So
Thank you for that.
Interrogate them.
It's just testing on how well we know the rules, to be honest. So it's all
See,
good.
And every time they fail, I kill off
someone
an
somewhere
NPC they care
knows
about.
the rules better today. Hashtag Malop. Where are you from? Well, where are you watching us from? Not hitting anybody. Let's move on.
Alright, are we ready to head back?
Yeah, so the only other thing was a few people commending how a wonderful Titus Tudor and Peter Newman are portraying Malkavians.
They do fantastic Malkavians.
Oh,
We love you. Thank you for saying that.
That's a lovely ego boost for you guys.
yeah.
Feel better.
Feel good now.
Now
yes,
they're worse.
yes. There we go.
Thank
You're
you.
just encouraging them.
These notes.
We don't need this.
I require
Is that for
encouragement.
Phil.
Every now
It
and
has
then.
to be for Phil, right?
It's a tiny note.
I
Well,
like that he's got a magnifying glass to read it. You know.
yeah, I'm getting progressively smaller in my writing each time. Anyway, so to bring it back in, guys.
Painting.
Everyone has just gone
Yes.
into your room. You are currently painting.
Yes.
They're trying to edge around the side of this canvas.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how likely I am to notice them or not. I'm quite likely to notice Katia just because I'm often checking for detail. I'm
Okay.
slightly less likely to notice Moses once I start, but it all depends on
Okay.
how subtle they are. I am quite territorial though. Benjamin does not believe that one should see a painting until it's done.
So it's quite clear that as you guys are progressing closer, he's not simply allowing you guys to come around the corner of this canvas. I mean, trying to paint whilst fighting people off.
Oh yeah,
while
I'm
you
not
come
going to fight them.
That's not
physically.
going to be.
That just makes me more curious.
Like what are we doing here? We're gonna have our meeting.
Yeah, you
or
did call
you're
us
gonna
here.
be painting.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do both. You see, I can't leave because I'm somewhat against the clock. But I thought it would be good to talk about it because actually it does relate to us as a coterie, and particularly to you, Moses, and you, Jim.
What?
Well, but before we get into all of that, I just wanted to ask, how did all that business with the body and
Sorted.
It's sorted.
Yeah, this.
Oh,
Now.
well, that's fabulous.
I took
Jim's,
the school.
Jim's stepping around to have a look. 'Cause now,
We're all
now
just
he's
like-
there.
Yeah, it's like I sort of snatched the skull and changed them. But bad news is information has been thoroughly shared with pretty much every other police station.
What? But that's awful. You said it was sorted. That's not sorted at all. That's the actual opposite of sorted. That is explosive, uncontainable nightmare. Surely.
That's what I said for now.
Which means that for them to do it in less than 24 hours and the way to do it, and they are not disclosing any details of the investigation,
Yes.
they most likely are having some special interest in those things because they relate it to what happened in Hyde Park.
Oh right. What happened in Hyde Park?
Someone got bit on the skull by a much bigger jaw.
Pretty sure it was something like a lichen. Not me.
The Hyde Park incident involved 2 extremely mutilated bodies. to the degree where they considered it had to be a very large animal that did it. But the big issue with the Hyde Park incident was that nobody was witnessed leaving, either animal or person, which made people suspect it had to be an animal of some kind that just slipped notice. But then that theory went out the window and they started to suspect that it had to be a murder rather than an animal attack because one of the corpses vanished from the morgue. That was the Hyde Park incident, 29th of December.
Well, at least we're not the only unsubtle ones.
So that's why I decided to swap the skulls. So this time, if something happens, they will believe that it's related to the people from Hyde Park incident who swapped the body and now snatched the body and now swapped the
But
skull.
will they? Will they believe that? I mean, you know, you're saying there was one incident that looked like it. The whole body was swapped, and the wounds were different.
There's over 7 and something million people in London, and there is nothing that ties any of us to Stephen.
Well, except that Stephen is tied to Darren, and Darren is tied to this place.
And this place is tied to Mrs. Murovsky, and Mrs. Murovsky to us. Why would the owners of a B&B would go to such lengths?
I'm just saying that is an interesting question, but why would not a detective investigating an extremely brutal murder, which is possibly generating further murders, not go to the lengths to follow all of the leads?
Well,
I mean, that's what I would do if it were me. I mean, it's not me, but that's what I would do.
The breadcrumbs pass through Mrs. Murovsky, so when they start asking her about the way Stephen died, you can start getting worried.
Well, with any luck, her flakiness might be to our advantage this time.
There are no other clues or things. You know, when you say you swap the skull, where is the Stephen's skull? Where is Stephen's? It's not in that. Is it in that? What is it doing here? I mean, if the police come and it's like, oh, we just happen to have the evidence here and now. That's it.
You really think
I just
this
gave it
is
to
going to
him.
last here long? I will be taking it down to the tunnels soon and disposing it the
But
same way
I thought you did this
disposed
last
of
night. I thought you did this last night.
I barely had a chance to go in inside.
All right,
and
I'm sorry.
outside the police
No,
station.
it's been a very trying night for all of us. I'm sure.
You want to
I'm
go
sorry.
next time?
No, not really. I mean, so all right. So there's the skull. Are there any other bits of evidence that link us that are currently here waiting to be disposed, or is it just the skull?
To be honest, there's no
No.
more linking the Stephen incident to us than there is linking the other incident to us.
That's true, I suppose. Yes, that is true.
Of course, that means there are
that's-
two
that I do feel-
incidents that could be linked to us, but at the same time,
I do feel a bit better.
It would
actually,
take some
about that.
conjecture.
Yes. Good. So that is all dealt with, except that in some ways it's not really dealt with at all. But good. No, that's fine. So I think probably, most likely, Michael Chase knows. I mean, that's what I think. Because he said that he knew my secret when I saw him last night. But he said he wouldn't tell anyone. I think he thought it was quite funny. Maybe. I don't know. He's a very creepy man, very strange. But my point is that we should be very careful around him and not to annoy him because he may be able to obviously use this against us in the future.
Are you
He's a
thinking
primogen.
Are you thinking of taking up his offer?
Well, that's sort of the next thing I was going to talk about. Yes, he put a deal on the table, which is a difficult one. You see, I think I'm not very good at this vampire politics business. I'm quite new. But I think there is some kind of, I don't know, art rivalry between him and my sire. And I think that I am in the middle of that rivalry and that Michael Chase perhaps, I don't know, maybe he's just very bored and he finds this very funny, but I think he wants to, oh God, it's coming back to me.
If that
He
relates
lied,
between-
he lied to my sire last night and my sire did not react well. Did not react
If it's
well
a feud
at all.
between him, your sire, and you're in the middle, what does that have to do with us?
Oh, right, yes, no, you're quite right. No, there was a key detail I missed out. So the offer is that he says that 2 of my coterie owe boons, because he keeps the boons. He knows about the boons. And so I'm assuming that it's you 2 that owe boons. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. I don't think I got into the Prince's audience so quickly when I got there.
I have no idea how you do.
I agree with the Nosferatu, that's how I got in.
Right. So and you owe. But are these bad boons? I mean, are these the sort of boons that you need to get rid of? Because the deal is that I can clear those boons for you. That's what Michael is offering. But in exchange, I have to give him first choice on my art for the next 10 years. Now you have to understand that my sire, Edmund, who has been my patron now for some years, loves my work and has always had first refusal on my work. And that if I was to accept this deal, I think he would take it very badly indeed. I mean, I don't want to use hyperbole, but let's just say extremely badly, worse than you can. Yes.
Ben, you can trust me when I say I understand the gravity of one's sire reacting poorly to stimuli. And it's also worth noting that, as you've already said, no doubt the Primogen Council, or at least Michael Chase, are aware of our transgressions.
Yes.
And the last point I want to make, and this is something that I myself have grown more aware of in the last week or so, and I also have struggled to acclimatise to the fact that we are officially released from our sires, and they have no responsibility for us any longer.
And it's so much harder because they're not giving you everything in a cup.
At the same time, I wonder if, was that literal? Anyway, at the same time, they will still absolutely 100% hold that over us. They will still use that manipulation, the fact that they are our sires.
No, he won't manipulate me. No, it's he loves the work and he's done so much for me. It will be a betrayal.
No, that's no, for sure. I have no doubt in my mind that he loves and appreciates your work. But what you have to understand is that he no longer has your best interests at heart.
Oh no, but he does. I mean, no, he really does.
He has the interests of your work to heart, no doubt.
Oh, but he's always been very clear that the two things go hand in hand. I mean, very, very. He's very. You've never met him, I don't think.
No,
but,
I haven't.
Oh,
but it's what I'm trying to say is you do not owe him any.
Well, I owe him everything. Actually, I mean, without him, I wouldn't have the career that I have. He was the one who noticed me. And anyway, look, the point is that Michael Chase has told me I have until the end of this night to tell him yes or no to his deal, and he told me that if I said no, well, he intimated that it would be very unwise for me to say no to him, but he's in a feud with my sire, and my sire, the last time I spoke to him, because Michael Chase played a trick on him, he was very angry. I've never really seen him that angry before, and he destroyed everything. I mean everything.
Did he destroy your?
He destroyed everything I've ever done. Everything. Years of work and other work. He destroyed everything.
And did he have your best interests at heart when he did that?
He wasn't himself. I mean, Michael had just... He'd driven him to the edge. He lied to him. He tricked him. And he used me to do it. And now I have to help my sire, but... do you see my dilemma?
I don't understand.
I don't want to think about what would happen if I did this deal with Michael Chase. I don't want to think about what my sire would do.
It's worth noting that you have not even entered into this agreement yet.
No.
And of course, and yet Michael Chase has been able to exert this reaction from your sire already. Do you really think even if you say no to Michael Chase's request that he could not still, in some form of vengeance against you, poison your relationship with your sire even worse?
Well, yes, I think he probably could, given the evidence.
Even a man who clearly cares about you as much as your sire does, it seems like Michael Chase knows how to pull those strings just right to ruin that relationship you've built up. I mean, of course it could be damaging in the short term for sure to agree to this arrangement, but I feel like if you don't, either way, Michael Chase will make sure he destroys your relationship with your patron.
Jim's going to move up and put his hand on Ben's shoulder. Ben?
It's funny, Edmund does that sometimes.
I see. There's only maybe two paths here. It's a choice of either which do you think will be more beneficial for you, aiding the coterie or aiding your sire. I cannot make that decision for you.
No.
I can say that, yes, I would like this boon to go away, and I'm sure whichever one the other two has a boon, or boons, would like them to go away as well.
Yeah,
it's
but
worth
the thing
noting-
is that my
It's-
boon is with my primogen, and it's because he brought me here. I don't see it as a bad thing unless he asks me to do something nasty.
But it is worth noting that this could come down on all of us if Michael Chase, in spite,
Yes.
reveals
And-
what's happened.
You
Yes,
are in a lose-lose situation.
Yes, I am. It's terrible.
If Michael Chase gets his way, your relationship with your sire would definitely be affected, bad.
But you might survive longer and long enough to rebuild it. It comes down to whether you believe Michael Chase is a more dangerous enemy.
Well, I think the difference is that Edmund cares about me, and Michael, I don't know if he cares about
He doesn't.
anything.
If he played your sire just to move your hand closer, if he drove your sire to the edge on the night he knew you were going to see him.
But I can't. All right. The thing is, I can't go without some work. I have to give Edmund something before I make this deal. And
why don't you?
And if this doesn't work out, then I can't. I just can't do it. I can't.
Why don't you add a caveat to Michael Chase's deal? If you're going to take it,
Yes.
tell him that you are already working on a piece of art that was commissioned by Edmund.
No.
and he won't get
No.
it.
I'm just going to do this tonight. I'm going to finish it.
Exactly,
And
if
then
you take-
and then take it to my side. If Michael, he will get off. Please. I think if I try to talk to Michael, he's too good.
No, there's no point trying to
you
talk
need
around
to talk
him.
about. Do you need to talk to Edmund?
And I can't go to Edmund without something. I have to have something, which is why I need to work while I'm talking to you.
You can go to Edmund because this goes beyond your piece.
No, you don't understand.
You
There
are-
are other things going on, and Edmund needs the piece. He needs it.
By the end of the night, you might make a choice that forever robs him of the ability of.
Well, 10 years. I'm giving you to
it's
understand
10
that's
years?
Michael
Okay,
said.
yeah.
It's not
Michael
forever.
said that's not a long time, but I don't think Edmund's going to see it that way. I really don't.
Yeah.
The point, as I was trying to say, if you did not agree to the agreement, 10 years might not seem long at all compared to what havoc Michael Chase could wreak upon your relationship.
It's just the fact that he knows. If he knows, and all he has to do is tell the prince.
Yes.
I mean, or anyone who doesn't like us. And
Exactly.
it seemed from when we went to court that lots of people didn't seem to like us just for being there. So
Oh yeah.
It might be more prudent to at least give Michael Chase the impression that you are happy for this deal. It'd probably be less harmful to us if he thinks that you do truly believe him to be a man of his word.
if Edmund will agree, then I will say yes. But I have to get his agreement first, and for that I have to have a painting. So if I can work while you talk, but I can't leave the room. I have to get this done, and I'm very hungry. I'm a bit worried about Mrs. Morovsky when I go downstairs.
Perhaps.
I'll try, but
Your work might progress better if someone was to help you hunt quickly.
I haven't got time to hunt.
Moses?
I can't just dash off a couple of a sketch and give it to Edmund. It's got to be presentable in a gallery.
Moses, I believe. Well, I know there's some rats down in the tunnels, which we get if we can catch enough of them, they would sustain me. They would help.
I mean,
We have a better shot of finding a blood bag at the hospital and bringing
rats. Do you
Yeah.
See?
Hang on.
Blood bags.
No, the hospital is
blood bags, no.
still poaching.
So possible
Sort
poaching
of.
rats in.
Technically.
We have. You said it yourself. We have committed enough transgressions in the last
Oh, yes.
few evenings. We are
Let-
not risking any more.
Let's yes. What
yeah.
Katia said, I second that motion. I agree with Katia.
The
You crossed when you
person.
said that.
Okay, does that? Okay.
More
Can Michael
exasperated.
Chase? No, that's stupid.
Sorry. There's something else actually. Katia talked to me about it, and I should tell you as well. He wasn't the only one there. There was someone else there in the theatre. And I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Michael didn't say anything specific, so he didn't give away. I mean, in terms of what we'd done, but obviously he talked about the specifics of the deal.
It is worth noting that if they were a member of, or indeed any kind of subordinate of Michael Chase's, he would not he would not allow them to have leverage and information over the information that he possessed. So if he was going to strike up this deal and use this information as a bargaining chip, I highly doubt he would allow any member of his clan to possess the same sort of leverage.
Sorry, ST question. When the person left at the end, because there were two people, there was one he sent out at the beginning of the meeting, and there was one at the end. The one at the end was higher up, weren't they?
Yeah. From the stage.
Did I have any obvious sense whether Michael was aware of them or not? Do I have no idea?
The only thing that you were aware of as you turned around and had a look was that Michael Chase was in the aisle staring at you.
Yeah, and that was it, wasn't it?
That was
okay.
it.
I'll say, well, there was one person there at the beginning he sent away. They weren't very happy about it, by the way. But this is also complicated. But there was also a second person at the end, and they were higher up in the theatre, and Michael was too busy staring at me. I couldn't tell if there was any communication between them at all. Didn't like the way he stared at me. Didn't like it at all. It was awful.
I personally...
Those people were dead in there, most of them. He didn't care.
Exactly, and this is the kind of man you were dealing with, the kind of man that you would deeply offend were you to disagree with him.
All right. I'll see how the painting goes. I'm getting very hungry. I'm not sure about rats, but I suppose at this point I'll try anything.
Yeah. You have an affinity with Foggy, so I'm pretty sure the two of us together would probably have the best bet of rounding up enough rats to...
I think we need to get a grip of the situation. Yes, it's very important for Benjamin to provide a peace to his sire, but also for him to feed.
Exactly.
I have more important things to do in my night, and you two, than hunting rats. I can help him hunt, but I'm not hunting rats, because I need to take care of security, the information about our neighbor, wiping out any electronic residues of information that are there from what happened with Stephen. I have a list of things to do, and I haven't even got into my personal stuff.
So you said the police knew a lot about the case already. Was there anything? I mean, do they have any leads? Anyone they suspect, or do they just not know?
No leads. As far as I know, they have a lot of evidence for the Hyde Park, but I couldn't see that relating to this case. And I could see all the evidence they had, like for example, the basic stuff. Jim was shot at. They have a rough forensic description of his height.
Jim was shot at?
Well, yes. Yeah. Now, why do you think everybody was staring at the place?
Oh, that's why everyone was awake. I thought it was eerie, to be honest with you. I mean, everybody was looking at the house.
Yeah, well,
it was.
Genius down there wanted to take the body out of the stairs in that situation.
Oh my goodness! He
that's
had
why
a gun.
I the place.
This is Great Britain, for goodness sake.
It'd be more.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the guy had a military record.
Oh.
And he was, I think, he was dishonorably discharged. But he was a good shot.
Right.
So
did you get shot, Jim?
No.
Shot at.
Unfortunately, I react faster than you would expect.
You go faster than a bullet.
I can react faster. I can't move faster than a bullet. I can't. That's far beyond my speed. But I can dodge pretty well.
I mean, you say that in a very offhand manner. That's all. No, that's well.
To make sure your mind go rest, I have never actually been shot before that night. So that's probably why I lost the call. I lost control for a moment.
Yeah, that would have explained a lot of things. But the thing is that they're using their knowledge of Stephen's former military career as a good way to gauge the opponent. In this case, the description, of course, not only Jim, but a lot of other people fit into it. But if they keep on piecing information from future cases, you will eventually be done, and that information is all over the place. I cannot alter it or tamper it in any way.
Oh dear, that does not sound well. I suppose. I mean, the thing is, they're very thorough at these sort of jobs.
So why don't we take a small break? The night just started. We go, you hunt, and come back.
No.
You'll probably
painting hungry is worse.
I have one. You don't understand. I have one night, and it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
The others weren't good enough. This has to be better. This is
This is... Normally I have a lot of time.
Look at me.
Yes.
Are you honestly telling me that your hunger does not distract you?
Oh,
Not
yes,
even
no,
a little.
Of course it distracts me. Of course it does, but...
So, if we add all those little distractions together, you might be losing, what, 2 hours of the night in tiny
I
things?
hadn't thought of it like that.
But if we compress those 2 hours into 2 hours of hunting, or 3, you'll come back and you'll have 100% of your
I can't
focus.
lose 3 hours. What
You
if
might lose so
I
much.
know I've got an idea. What if you found a really good place, and then when you found the good place, you could call me and I could go straight there, and then I might only lose an hour.
I mean,
And that would be even better, wouldn't it? Yes, that's a fabulous. Let's do that, Moses. That's brilliant.
Remember when I said that you owed me a scooter for the tunnel?
No.
Well, now you owed me a dirt bike. Get me a dirt bike.
I'm trying to get all your boons cleared. I'm trying not to get us all exposed to the print. I'm trying my hardest.
I'm not
but
asking for a bullet.
You're asking for a dirt bike when we could all
Yeah.
be sent out to the last morning or whatever it's called.
No. I'll find you a place to feed. Just remember.
Yes, of course I remember. I've got a good memory.
Bye. And I go, try to case the area. I know which house has no people on it. So that's what I'm gonna do for a short part of the night. Trying to case a good place for him to sandman in. And then go with him to make sure nothing goes wrong. Because he's edgy. Hopefully it'll take very little of my time, and I can dedicate the rest of the night to other stuff.
Okay. Well, we'll say you're trying to do this quick, so we'll say stamina plus streetwise.
Stamina?
Yeah. You're trying to do this
Keep it real.
efficiently and quickly. You are going to be limited by your physical endurance. Stamina is one of the listed ones for trying to cram something in.
Okay. Oh yeah, because I'm trying to do it.
You're trying to do it as quickly as you
fast-paced,
can.
Moving around. Yeah.
So
That makes
stamina plus streetwise. Do you have any specialties?
No.
Nope.
I would have thought it would be something different, but no.
Okay. Are you going in the same area you frequently go into?
Yes.
Okay, alright, so we will say the difficulty will drop by 1. So it will be difficulty 3.
I have 3 dice.
Good luck. Could always rail.
Yeah, it's not. It's gonna be like a.
You're trying to do it as
messy
quickly
critical.
as possible. I mean, if you took the time, you could.
That's one success. One miserable
I mean,
success.
you know where the residential area is. The problem is locating which area is going to be accessible
Safe, yeah.
and it's safe, given how eager he is to get this done quick. There are 1 or 2 places that you think, if he took his time, if he was careful, yes, there's an easy, but it's not what you're willing to risk on the tail end.
Not automac kind of specs window.
Okay, so while he's out doing this, you're still trying to start on your painting.
Have I been able to work out what it is?
What have you got on your page?
'Cause you
Given
said
that
you
they have
started
pretty
out
much been
putting the
edging all their
face
way
in.
around it.
So, shall I tell you what the plan is for the painting, and then you can tell them what they see? Does that seem reasonable? Because obviously
And also,
you can
have
then work
I
out how
noticed-
far I'd have got in that time. What that might.
Have I noticed that he has kept looking at me throughout the scene?
Sure.
I mean, I'm not being super subtle.
I'm just putting it all together.
So essentially, this painting is going to be super minimalist,
Okay.
and it is simply like a blank canvas, and then with Katia, but only the lines of anger on her face. Nothing else, not even the full outline. So literally just like the anger lines, and then the wound lines, and then so it's like a super abstract, super minimalist piece.
Okay.
So it's only the rage and the pain that was on her at that time
So it's
on
not
the
her
canvas.
face.
So it's not like a detailed picture of her, because the other one was. It's just all the horrible, angry, wounded bits represented in abstract on the canvas.
It's very difficult to tell at a glance. I mean, there's lines on a white page. I mean, if you kind of took the time to squint it, it looks humanoid. But he's just starting, or he hasn't been long starting, so it's kind of like Oh, all right, yeah. No, yeah. So it's difficult. I mean, you couldn't look at it and go, "You bastard," but it's
Gotta take a while.
yeah. He's getting underway. He hasn't started it properly yet, which would probably explain his eagerness.
After what has Jim also come round for a gander?
Jim's
I'm
looking-
assuming.
After a while, I will say, you know, it's funny. I used to find it impossible to work when people watched me, but now, thanks to Edmund, I've learned to persevere.
Sounds like a truly visionary sire.
Oh yes, yes. He really sees through to the heart of things, in a way I don't think anyone else does.
Can I ask what is this painting meant to be about?
Truth, only the truth.
Of
That's as much as I want to say.
now, I definitely want to see that when it's done before you take it. I'll go see if I can find some rats, and I'm gonna lay
Okay.
it down.
All right. So from you, we're gonna say. We'll say dexterity plus animal care.
Can he have an extra dice for his fingers? Because they were very tempting for the rats last time.
No, he's in motion. It's a little less tempting.
At some point, I'm gonna send the text to Katya. It's like,
want to,
night's
I guess,
not looking great.
I have a rousing 1 success.
Okay, you managed to find about 1 or 2 rats. There's not that many this close up. I mean, you could go further into the tunnels, but on a basic cursory inspection, trying to get this done as quickly as you can and not waste your night, there's probably 1 or 2 rats that you've managed to.
So, would it be enough to reduce hunger by a little bit?
No idea.
No, I think I probably felt right because I might have an idea. I think.
Vampires are different. Put it this way. I mean, you fed on a rat, but it takes about a dozen for you to feel in any way satiated.
Yeah, crap. So I'm gonna try and find some more.
Okay.
So I've received Moses' text.
Yep.
Deep sigh. I'm still standing in his room.
Katya, I meant to say I'm very sorry about last night. I think I was in shock. Yeah, I mean, you've got no idea. Well, maybe you do. I don't know. But I mean, it was all broken when I got there. Everything.
I understand.
And I knew it would be bad because, you know, when I phoned him it was all strange. It was because of Michael. It was because years of work.
I
mean, it's like I don't exist anymore. In a way, it's all gone. This is it. This is the body of my work now.
Well,
I think I was in shock. I mean, I barely said anything to him. I just stood there. I don't think I knew what to. I mean, probably it was a good thing.
was most of this work you had completed before you were embraced?
Yes, most of it. Yes.
Then I suppose you could look at it as if you were starting afresh in a new life, and this comes with new stimuli and what you could consider a new truth that was shut off to you before.
But there was a work I completed afterwards, since we came here, that I thought was really good, but clearly it wasn't. It just wasn't. He said so. It was just a failure, I suppose. But this will be different, I'm sure. This will be different.
Well, I would definitely be interested to meet your sire. You do speak very highly of him.
Oh, he's wonderful. I mean, obviously, this is a very trying time for him. But normally, yes, he's very... I think he would like to meet you, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, if the piece goes well, perhaps... Oh, no, actually, no. No, maybe... I'll think about it. But yes, you should definitely meet him sometime. I think he would want to see you. I really do. I'm not sure about the others, but he would definitely want to meet you.
Don't know, Moses can make some compelling conversation.
I'm going to stick with my original position, but yes, all right.
Right, well...
It's my jokes, isn't it?
Having received Moses' text, I'm going to text Jim. Is this phone ringing? I assume?
No, it's not ringing.
Oh.
You got a text message.
Right.
It's from Will. It says, "Don't come outside. They are watching." Bzzzt. 2. That's it.
So the second text just
Was
said,
just said 2.
is in the number 2 or TO?
The number 2.
I text Jim.
Okay. So, before just to double check, make another check.
Dex was handling
This is
him.
just during this time.
That's 2 successes this time.
2 successes. You managed to gather up maybe about 3 more rats. You're pretty certain you recognise one of the fuckers that was eating.
Revenge.
But you managed to catch up to about 5 rats total. It's probably not enough. You're pretty certain it's not enough, but that's probably about as far as you get. It's when you're beginning to gather them up and try and stop them from scurrying away by trying to stomp your foot in their path so they run the other way. And
I was all up the tail.
yeah,
tail
as they
back.
begin trying to scramble, it's difficult trying to keep hold of them. I mean, they are pretty eager to make you let go, and it's during this time that you have the really inopportune moment to have your phone go bzzzt.
Stop. Wait.
People are watching us from outside. Don't leave the building.
Fuck that. I'll have to see if that will do for him. Fuck. I'm gonna
I will
take the rats
also
upstairs.
text Moses right afterwards, saying, if you can return another way, do. The house is being watched.
Bzzzt.
Okay.
They've seen me. Bzzzt. Going to drive.
Okay. I want to text Moses again.
I am actually walking towards the haven, but making sure no one sees me.
Moses,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
go to the McDonald's.
How are you disguised, by the way?
Sorry?
How are you disguised?
Winter. Long,
Okay.
sleepy thingies. A scarf.
Face on the face. Serious.
It's like this, with gloves and a coat. Where's my coat?
What's your Bane level?
I look like a very ugly human.
He's only a baby vampire.
I believe it probably 1.
Okay.
Bane 1, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
one brought to the tree.
basically repulsive.
Okay.
Flaw.
You are
I-
drawing a fair few looks as you wander through. No one's looking at you in abject horror,
It's just
but
I'm ugly.
they are kind of aware as you go past. There's one or two that kind of glances at you and then as you walk past. In that way where you're trying to be polite and not stare at them directly, but then you think, fuck me, actually, that's worth being noticed.
Yeah.
It's an uncomfortable reminder. I mean, as someone that's used to going around with a motorcycle helmet, as someone that's used to going around and seeing, those few moments when people start noticing you is a stark reminder that without obfuscate, without other means of subterfuge, you are
Which
on
I'm
display.
going to use because I got a text from.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it says,
Right.
go to McDonald's, please. And then I will send the same thing to Will. And tell her.
I
Find Moses.
think I'm gonna go Mask of 1,000 Faces as Jonah. And go hungry in the process.
Okay.
I wanted to have like 2 nights with Hunger
Yeah.
1 in a row.
Oh.
So yeah, that's a 3. So yeah, Hunger 2.
Okay.
But yeah, Mask of 1,000 Faces, and I go as Jonah.
Okay. You make your way directly towards the McDonald's.
Yeah.
And it takes you a moment just peering in to try and isolate where Will is. And you make her out primarily just because you can see her just sat there, just there with a phone on the counter. But she's not looking at the phone, she's just sat there. And as she kind of glances back over her shoulder, you step through the door just in time to see a very large individual just take a seat opposite her. Very, very large individual that you don't recognize. And then he reaches over, takes a phone, and just has a look. and then pockets the phone.
Her phone.
Her phone.
Okay. I go in and go like, can I have a hot coffee, please?
They immediately kind of like... It's the late shift. No one's enthusiastic, especially not in McDonald's, but they go and get it, they place it down, take the payment, and then immediately kind of like wave you aside in that subtle way that's kind of like borderline polite to try and get the guy behind you.
Yeah, and I go to the... still keeping an eye on the guy, the large guy.
Mm-hmm.
Go and look for sugar, and then give a couple of steps, and backtrack on my steps and look for the thingy that shakes, that makes it...
Yeah.
And then sit in a place where I can have my coffee.
Okay.
Or at least go until the guy moves.
Okay.
I want to see him move around.
Okay.
If he does...
He's speaking with her, but it's very, very softly, and she's not responding, but then her eyes kind of flicker over to you as she notices you. And then he stops and he just looks around over at you. And then he looks back at her. And then he holds out his hand to her. Very, very large hand. And then very, very slowly she puts her hand in his and he just grips. And you see her shift subtly in her seat. And then he leans across the table and whispers something to her. And she just...
Tyson Katya, do you know if Will has a very, very large boyfriend?
No.
Okay. And as he grips her hand, he stops and he looks over at you again.
I just like straight walk up to him, like, hi. Do you find me attractive? Because you keep looking my way.
I recommend you sit down before things escalate.
You would be?
My name's not important at the moment, just take a seat.
I sit down. I sit down on the side he pocketed Will's phone.
So you're sitting next to him.
Yeah. I was like, okay, you want me to sit down? I'm sitting down.
The moment you move to sit down next to him, he places his hand on the table, basically just creating a barrier. It's quite clear he wants you to sit opposite.
Oh, that's so... That's rude.
You hear it as he tightens his grip on her hand.
Okay. I sit in front of the guy next to Will. So, when you say escalate, I do not suppose you mean like climbing and stuff, right?
He squeezes again, and you actually hear it.
If you hurt her,
You do what?
I will make sure everything this world you think you hold dear goes to ash. I don't care about her. I care about her friend. So I have nothing to lose if you hurt her.
Neither do I.
No.
You've taken away the one thing we cared about.
You're talking about Tyler.
Yeah.
You're such an idiot. The constable took out Tyler because we're being watched. Why do you think I have so many cameras?
You called the constable.
No, I didn't.
Not you.
Here's my phone.
Your lot. And you're not the one I'm waiting for. You're just the one that watches.
Yeah. What do you want? The person who called the constable? And do what? Tyler knew what he was doing when he went to talk to us. He knew for a fact that he would die, but he was trying to make it a worthwhile death. He wanted to make a deal. You were not in that lobby. I tried to strike a deal with Tyler. We could not come to a solution. But I am willing to listen to what you have to say, although you don't look like the type that has a lot of words.
Then I'll make it simple for you.
Tyler wanted Thin Blood to have safe passage. I could do with the business. Period. You're talking with a Nosferatu here.
Yeah, I know what you are.
And I turn to Will.
I also know where you've been going. I know
I
what you've been doing because you're not the only one that can watch.
turn to Will. It's like, and if you mention any of this to Katya, we're gonna have an issue. Like, yes, I'm willing to have a deal with you. 2 reasons. One, you got rid of most of my cameras. I'm not
No,
gonna.
I didn't.
I'm not gonna start a schoolyard fight over those. Eventually, I'll find a way of keeping an eye on what I owe. But if Tyler Adams was stupid enough to go into our domain
Careful.
after, well, I'm sorry, but that was reckless. For the best of reasons, and I have been haunted by that decision ever since the constable stepped in, because that's when I realized he went there knowing he would die. He was risking it 100%. There was no way he could have gone to our domain, us that are being watched by others, and not have the whistle being blown.
Which one are you called the constable?
I have no idea. Probably our Malkavian, because he's a paranoid fuck. What are you gonna do? Blame it on the crazy guy? I think he's not in his senses. Also, he has no idea. He had no idea who Tyler Adams was. All of his vampire kindred experience is with us, and it's been a month. He was told Tyler Adams had a blood hunt on his head, together with every other thin blood. What do you want him to do? He is literally going barking mad as he paints in his room as we speak. You want to take a look at the guy? He is the most trigger happy with his finger on the scent button, speed dial, trying to get the constable whenever he feels things are gonna go wrong. Yeah, he's a wimp, but he's part of my coterie, and I'm accountable for it. I don't like it. That's why I am willing to do business. Not my coterie. Definitely not Katya, sorry, but I don't trust streamers.
If you aren't accountable, if you want to
Well-
be the level-headed one,
Want me to show you the tape when I try to talk to Tyler?
right. Here's what's going to happen next. If you're the level-headed one, you're going to stand up and you're going to leave.
With her.
No, you're not.
See, that's the thing. I might be the level-headed one, but I'm also not the dumb one.
Put it this way. Unless I message my friend,
Which one? The girl with the braided hair? The
Yeah.
guy with the... Oh, okay.
we release the bodies within your domain, and we set fire to everything. You see, he was our way out. We got nothing else to lose. So if you think you can
No.
try and appeal, it's
No,
not going to
no,
happen.
No. That's the thing. Tyler was a great man, and he was very noble. For the very...
You didn't fucking know Tyler.
For the very...
Eyes start
small
turn towards you
conversation.
as he starts squaring on the
Yeah.
table.
And it was like, dude, I had a short conversation with him, and I felt that he was doing it for you. He felt that it was worthwhile. And that is something that you knew, Tyler. You knew he could make you feel. He cared about you. I can do it, but not because I care, but because you're business, because I have the means, and because my clan can, well, care fuck all for what the prince says. If not, ask around about who Plucky Cake is. Nosferatus are your way out. I am your way out. Actually, you have something to lose, and it's the slightest, smallest window of opportunity.
You want
Because
to know why we came to you lot?
Dude, no one's gonna care. I would love to know. But now, if you come and put Thin Blood Camp on my bed and breakfast, no one's gonna believe it. Why? Because we fucking got Tyler killed. His death made our haven non-friendly to Thin Bloods in the eyes of everybody else.
I need you to make charisma
Yes.
plus persuasion.
Damn it.
Yes. Well, actually, I'm sort of
That's
lying to
also
him, but I'll go with persuasion.
Like
You
8
see?
dice.
Oh, no.
It's not best.
So it would
Well,
be-
you are appealing in a quite overt way. You're not trying to subtly divulge. So even if you're not giving everything, it's more of a force of personality at this point.
yeah. So that's charisma.
Difficulty 3.
Oh no, I'm failing this one.
You never know, you could get 2 10s.
Yeah, might get lucky. So rouse it.
No.
Come on.
Could I rouse it?
Yeah. You can rouse any
Um,
skill check, any check at all, apart from.
Let me double check that. Rule school.
Let's go.
Rule school. Blood
Rouse.
surge.
You can totally.
Blood
You can totally
surge.
blood surge. Yeah.
definitely-
It's
you
it's
can.
mental and physical and social.
I think so.
Okay.
Your rules, Melk says so.
The
The
rules
mental
Malk.
character.
Yeah. Always trust the rules, Melk.
I could have,
And just give it 10 seconds and then I'll make a ruling. No pressure.
but I do believe I read that.
I think it
you
is,
could
but
do
I
it,
just
yeah.
want to double check before we. Right, you have a look at that. For now, we'll say yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And watch me fail.
So you get an extra die.
That is one success.
Not too late for willpower. Eh? Bit of willpower?
Get back in the morning.
Yeah, there you go.
Ah, 2 successes.
Okay. Did you make your rouse check?
Oh, sorry.
Ow! I have hit already my knee. Now it's my elbow. Now it's my dignity. I'm hungry. See?
Less comfortable
It only
about
took
doing
one
the-
night and one very depressing feeding to get me back.
Okay, so you've marked down your willpower damage.
Yes, I'm on
Okay, before I
it. Listen.
respond, Katia, you've been receiving these messages from, or you've received a message from
Yeah.
his response, and your response was no. Jim, you would have ran back upstairs. Rats in tow?
Rats in tow.
Okay, back up to the basement. Are you going beyond the basement?
This is karma for the good guys.
I'm gonna try and get you to bed.
Okay. You run upstairs and Mrs. Morovsky, looking up from her newspaper, kind of stares at the rats at you. And then as you run past him towards Ben's room, she kind of lifts up out of her chair, looks, and then
I'm
What a
gone.
weird man.
and then goes back to her newspaper.
Oh my god.
Ben, give these a go.
What?
Probably not enough, but
Really?
Writhing, wriggling rats.
How do you even? I mean,
necessity.
what? Can you get diseases from them? I
haven't before.
don't know. It sounded fine in principle, but now that actually, all right, I'll.
Fangs out, dig in.
So I'll try a rat.
Okay. It is immensely unsatisfying. It's a lot of fur. It's like kind of, I mean, as a weird example, it's like if you licked a cat whilst trying to. I don't know how else to. It's like
He's trying to make it better.
There's a story.
disclaimer: I do not lick cats. Bugger. It is immensely unsatisfying. It does stop wriggling and start spasming as you bite down into it. And the blood that you take away from it whilst it's warm is very unsatisfying.
Okay, I'll say afterwards. I'll go. This is awful. It's not even.
Come on. Second one.
No.
Second one. Drink.
How
Drink.
threatening are you being?
I
I mean, do you look like Psycho? Drink. Are you?
I know. I'm pushing towards it. Drink.
All right, fine. I'll have another
And
one.
these rats are like trying to bite down on your hands trying to get free.
I'm not noticing.
All right, I'll try. I'll have one more under protest, and that's as far as I'm going.
It doesn't taste any better than the first one. If anything, the wriggling is making it very unsatisfying.
Oh no, it's not
I'm
worth
sneaking
it.
a shove a third one in, just bang in the mouth.
No, Peter, no, I don't want any more.
Drink.
Do you drink the rest?
I mean, I'm willing to be intimidated into drinking, but I'm not willingly drinking.
Okay.
Forcing it down his throat.
I mean, it's horrible, right?
Under protest, you have 5 rats.
Oh right, okay, blimey. All right, I'm gonna.
That's all he's managed to bring with him.
Okay.
Coming up.
Because I'm pretty certain he's not going to stop telling you to drink.
No, okay, yeah. I will look increasingly miserable and like I've been abused.
And the worst thing is, even after you've had these 5 rats, you don't feel any better. you don't feel.
I'll say that was awful, and we're never going to speak about this again.
It's still there this way.
I'm rapidly pacing up and down stairs.
I'm gonna go, mate. I'll go deal with these corpses.
Oh, I'm so glad I can't be sick anymore.
Okay.
Benjamin,
Yes.
I'm guessing this is the same format when you were trying to paint as the previous night.
Well, as in, I just have to superbly pull it off in one roll.
As in, everything is active that was active.
If Catty is still in the room, maybe, yeah. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't. But if she's there, then I might. If she's
Well,
looking,
she was in the room.
I've left now.
Oh, you've left. Oh, okay.
Would he drop it or keep it up?
No, actually, maybe I'll keep it up because what I'm trying to do is get
Okay.
like the pixel perfect
In that
lines
case,
on the page. I want them like you can get really. You might be thinking this is a weird line, but you go, it's that line right there. Oh yeah.
Okay. In this case, the taste of the rats is
Oh,
beyond.
it's gone. No, it's going down. No,
Okay.
no. Oh, sorry, no. I would have dropped it when the rats came. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Oh God, no. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm responding in character to that question for some reason. But yeah, Benjamin would have dropped it because obviously that's horrific. The moment he realised it did not taste like, I don't know, caramel, that heightened senses has gone down.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably won't put them back up actually for a little while until I feel the taste has gone. I might rub my tongue up, you know what I mean? So I won't put them up immediately.
Okay.
Maybe a bit later, but not now.
Maybe a bit later. Okay. Katia, where are you at the moment?
As I say, I'm currently pacing up and down the stairs.
Okay, in that case, wits plus awareness, please.
It's 2 successes.
You can hear from upstairs.
As in... Okay, so I'm currently on the same level as these guys, so...
Jim, what level are you on? Your bedroom.
He's-
Same levels?
Main one.
Okay, so upstairs.
I'll head upstairs with See the Unseen.
Okay. You move upstairs, your phone's still in hand. You can't see anything. But then, as you move towards Jim's room, you can hear from inside. And then...
And I'm aware that Jim is downstairs? I want to stay by the door, listening, and... Jim, there's some crazy shit in your room.
Is that what you texted?
Yes.
Jim's going up.
And then I would like to open the door because my curiosity is getting the better of me.
What, subtly or just opening it?
I mean, it can't hurt to try and do it subtly.
Okay. Dexterity plus stealth, then. Don't think there's any other way to open a door subtly.
2 successes.
Okay. You open the door to find, as you peer in, the room seems, at very first glance, just as you look directly ahead towards Jim's bed, it looks untouched. But then you realise that everything in here appears damp And then as you kind of follow it towards the window, you see the outline of a figure up against an open window with what looks to be a jerry can. And as she stops and looks around at you, she snarls, puts one step onto the window, and pulls out a lighter. Okay.
I'm gonna bolt downstairs.
Okay. Jim, as you are heading upstairs, you can hear coming from downstairs. And as you glance back up the way that you came, the way that she came, you can see your door wide open, and then all of a sudden, swing shut, and then you hear from within the door, within the room, and then you hear what sounds to be a low shout that escalates to a scream and a shout, and then you can hear against the door as it begins shaking. And then you can hear from downstairs, "What's going on up there?" coming from Mrs. Morovsky as she gets up and starts trying to move to the bottom of the stairs in a very eerily reminiscent way of when she was yelling up to Darren. And the shouts and the sounds of the knocking against the door are becoming more and more frantic and more erratic. As you open it, I need you to do a willpower check, please.
Oh, no. So no hunger dice with this one, right?
Nope.
Thank fuck for that.
Add your humanity divided by
You get 2 dice.
so 2 dice.
Yeah.
Cool. Be a big roll. Cocked. 3 successes.
Just what you need. The moment you open, you feel the beast begin tightening and spasming within, and as you move the door, the figure that barrels past you is you're not even looking at it, even though there should be no one in your room, even though at a glance you recognize that this is no one you know and should not be in your room. Your gaze is taken by the growing inferno that is your room and the fire that is creeping across the floor towards the door, and the figure that barreled past. As you watch her, you see a woman that is mid-burning as she is coated in fire, just running and spasming down the hall as she begins twisting and turning, almost falling off of her feet. She is on fire, barreling towards you as you're looking up the stairs.
Jim's going to be trying to grapple her, pin her down, trying to barrel up the flames.
Okay. Okay. I will need another willpower check from you.
You can't rouse on willpower, can you?
No, I don't
That's one
think
you
so.
can't.
3 successes.
Okay. You run up to her, and even as every muscle and every instinct in your form is telling you to fucking run, you grab her, and the pain that ricochets for you, but I mean, you've undergone pain under your sire. This is immeasurable by comparison. In the process of putting her down on the floor, I'm going to need a strength plus brawl check. Your specialty does apply.
Four successes.
Okay. You grab her and bodily lift her up, even as she thrashes and begins scraping. At one point, the fingernails come away from her hand as she tries to rake across the wall. She's letting out a very high-pitched squeal. You can dwarfing the sounds of Mrs. Morovsky downstairs calling up, demanding to know what's going on. And as Katya, you begin pushing yourself up against the wall instinctively. You just watch as hair begins burning, clothes just begin burning away, as where she was initially just beginning to burn, whatever chemical she's ran through to get out of this burning room has basically consumed her. And as you pitch her down onto the ground and begin smacking away to try and douse these flames, it is doing very minimal, but you manage to move her onto a part of the area which is not instantaneously going to just catch. It's not solved the problem, and you do take 2 points of aggravated damage.
Aggravated.
Aggravated. This is fire. as the moment that you move her and smack, the pain begins to
lots of
escalate
health,
and your fangs just come out and your vision begins narrowing and you're watching as your hand comes up, more acutely aware by the sensation of basically being boiled, as the skin just begins peeling and corrupting and corroding and just burning away. It's an unnatural burn. I mean, you've seen the burns on the back of Will's. This is immeasurably worse. And despite that, you manage to override the sensation to just let loose that is gripping you from inside from the beast, and you just continue to wail and wail and wail. And then, all of a sudden, she stops moving, and her eyes unseen as the flames continue to burn and burn and burn. And then she just goes completely still. The fires are still burning.
Still trying to beat them out.
Okay, right, I'm going to need... This one's going to be stamina plus, I'll say athletics.
Come on, you got this.
Yeah, Jim's very physical. I got a lot of dice for this.
Yeah, I'm pleased that you got it. Oh, that's a crit success.
Woo!
4,
Critical.
5, 6, 7 total.
Right. Because of this,
Not
and
critical this time.
only because... Was it a critical win?
It was a good crit.
Crit win, yeah.
Right, only because of
not
this,
messy, okay.
am I not going to make you take another 2 aggravate. Only because of this. The way that you are hitting her is in such a way that you are managing to strike the bits that are not as searingly hot. You are managing to strike the bits of her that are not covered in flammable fluid. And it is only through the sheer speed and ferocity fueled by your beast that you are managing to hit the flames slowly, tortuously slowly for your taste. And yours, they begin to deb down. And it is only after she suddenly turns into this smoking husk on your landing, with the smoke still coming out of your burning room, that you manage to appreciate just how charred and almost bone-like your hand is.
Call a fire brigade.
Jim, I need to get Miss Morofsky out. Get her downstairs into the basement. The fire brigade cannot find her here.
Yeah, I know. Get a fire brigade on. No.
First, I'm just gonna I'm bolting downstairs instantly. Julia, there's a fire upstairs. We've got to get you out of the building. I'm calling the fire
There's a
brigade.
fire?
Yes.
I'm going to call the fire brigade.
And she
We need
begins
to, we
moving
need
off
to, we
towards
need
the
to
phone.
vacate the building. I've got a mobile telephone. I can do it. Please, let me.
You
let me
need
help
to get...
you.
What about everybody else, dear?
They're
I need
only-
to go and get
Don't
everybody
worry,
else
I
out.
can do it. Listen, please. They're upstairs. I don't want you going upstairs. It's please.
Well, don't you go up. You wait for the fire
They know they're
brigade.
coming. Just let me. You need to go outside, please. I insist.
With extreme Mrs. Morovsky reluctance, she moves out towards the door. Twice you think that she's going to try to go and pass you back to the stairs, but you manage to guide her out. With a little more force than normal, just purely because there is a part of you that is still gripped by your beast that is telling you get out. And it's becoming less of a request and more of a demand the longer you are staying here, and you can smell the burning from upstairs.
And I'm calling the fire brigade as soon as I get her out.
Okay. The call goes through quickly. And the moment that you mention for the fire brigade and you pass along the address, she assures you that the fire brigade is on the way. Ensure everybody is out of the hotel, and do not try and go back in for possessions or anybody else. Just immediately vacate. With these directions given, I'm assuming you're gonna.
I am assuming that unless he is completely, and I mean even for Malkavian completely insane, that that our dear Benjamin will smell the smoke and move. I know that my most valuable books are currently in the basement.
Yep, you just took them downstairs.
Yep.
Yep.
There you go.
Well,
but however, given what Will told me before, I don't want to leave Miss Morovsky outside unattended. So I am basically on the doorstep.
okay.
With her.
I mean, Mrs. Morovsky's pretty much still on the doorstep. I mean, she's not left the area.
Yeah.
She's, I mean, even out in her slippers, she's just there trying to look back into the building as though she's trying to check where everybody is, even though she can't see them. And there's no way she could possibly get upstairs.
I know that Moses is out. The other two will.
Who's Moses? Never mind. The others. Go and get the others.
By this point, I'm pretty sure Jim's hoisted
Fire.
body on his shoulder. Ben, get your pink stuff. Get in the basement.
You can hear a shout from upstairs. You can hear the shouting of Mrs. Morovsky and the forced patience of Katia from outside your door.
Do I think something is going down? Is it a reasonable assumption?
You can hear raised voices.
I guess I'll push my heightened senses. If it
And
seems serious.
immediately, this smell of smoke hits you.
Right, grab the paintings.
Okay.
Just the one I'm working on and the one that I don't want other people to find. Did I hear Jim shouting?
Yeah.
I will shout back, "Get the skull!" And then I will leg it out of the building.
Jim's already left the skull in the tunnels.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
Down there.
I don't know that. So, that's
So
fine.
you come out of your room just as Jim's taking the stairs two at a time at this point.
Yeah.
And as he lands on the bottom, you can see on his shoulder a severely burned individual that's unmoving, and his hand is almost burnt to the bone. But he is barreling past outside. Mrs. Morovsky, in the whirl of motion as you barrel past her, doesn't seem to see what's going on. And in her haze of trying to...
No, I'm not barring. I'm barring directly to the base.
Oh, you're going through the tunnels? Okay.
I'm going down there.
Okay, well, either way, with Katia in front of her, she doesn't seem to notice you barrel past. If she did, she'd probably tell you you're going the wrong way. But as you come out, are you going down the tunnels?
I'm going to my car.
Okay. Okay, so you go straight past Mrs. Morovsky and you usher Mrs. Morovsky further away, and she goes to the other side of the room and just watches as she can see the flames going up on the floor above. It's clear from her face it's taking a remarkable amount of effort on her part to stay out. But she stays more of and she seems to be gripping you almost as though she's afraid you're going to run in, and she's trying to keep track of where you are.
Just kind of like holding on to each other.
Yeah, and she's just looking up at the building, and there is a haunted look in her eye that is frightening, that you haven't seen in her eyes, even when she was bludgeoned, and even on the footage when she was being accosted by these individuals that attacked her. And as the flames begin passing, you can see it now coming out of the window, a window that is shut. The window that she was at, that is shut. You can see the flames through the windows, you can see the curtains burning. And you can certainly smell it from here. And people that are passing are kind of giving it a look and immediately stopping to stare in that way that people do when there's a disaster. Some people are muttering, some people are texting on their phones, the ones that have them. Other people are just stopping and chatting with the person next to them, just observing. You can hear the sirens of the fire engine.
I'm
approaching.
envisaging, obviously, having to deal with people, so I'm probably going to use Blush of Life.
Okay.
I think. Or I would have been kind of going
Are
towards
you?
that.
I'm not dealing with people.
No, but you're outside now, aren't you?
I'm going to the car.
Okay, so you're heading straight to the car. Okay, you are heading down to the thing.
He's running away from a fire. He has an excuse to look pale. Like, see? That is a mistake. That means something wrong went down in my domain. Something that you already threatened, so you set fire, so I'm guessing you set fire to something. That will draw a lot of attention to my people. I have no idea why so many kindred in this city think with their asses. Is that a British thing? Sorry, well, no offense. That's a mistake. You just lost your only card. And if you ever want to try and doubt again the word of a Nosferatu, particularly this one, go around and ask whether or not Plucky Jake would have been extremely eager to give you everything you wanted. You, my friend, are a moron. Now, let her go.
No.
And I stand up. It's like, and I raise my voice. Hey, no need to get angry. Just let her go. You're hurting her hand. She just said so. I'm drawing every single eye to this guy.
Okay.
Everyone in the McDonald's is like, dude, that's not cool. That's sexist.
Okay. The moment that you do this and all eyes turn, he goes, you shouldn't have done that. Now, I'm going to turn this into a Wits plus Insight roll.
Okay.
Okay.
6 successes with a
6
messy
successes
critical.
here. Same here. With a messy critical.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Well,
Oh my god.
I will allow you to detail how this messy critical happens in response to what he's just done. Okay. The moment that all eyes turn, he glances towards them, looks to Will, and the moment she flashes a kind of worried look towards you, he reaches down as though he's about to stand, draws a knife, and just jabs it across the table straight into Will's chest. And then the moment that he does, people begin screaming and moving towards the door. One person begins approaching the table directly in front of you. What is your messy critical response? Keep in mind, it's a messy critical response.
He just stabbed Will,
Yeah.
and that was my initiative roll.
Yeah. Because he got higher.
I bite him. I jump on his shoulder. I go like, let go of her! Like, yeah, I'm desperate, but you just stabbed her.
Okay.
So I bite him on the shoulder. He's like, so, or his arm. The arm, he's let go of the weapon, but it's a nasty bite. I think I jump a little too far and hard, break the table, sort of potence showing up.
Okay.
For a scrawny guy, given that and actually biting off a chunk, because this is got to be messy.
Keep in mind that because this is fueled, it's likely to be a bite. It's not going to be just an...
No.
Okay.
I was going to go bite, messy critical. I go
Okay.
vampiric bite.
Right. The moment that the blade sinks in, she lets out a... and begins moving back into the... trying to burrow herself back into the booth as the knife sinks in. And the moment that he does this and he turns to look at you and the people around, in that split second, you've lunged across and your weight hits the table. And even though it's anchored, it tilts with a force and a groan as it sends whatever contents are on the table flying. And his knife goes with it as you sink down into his arm. And he lets out... reveals as he turns just how far your fangs have sunk in. And in that moment when you begin pulling away at muscle and bone, he lets out an even lower growl. I need you to do a strength plus brawl check for me, please.
That's going to be a sad roll for me.
Uh-oh.
No, because
What happen when we're alone?
I know.
it's because it's only hunger die.
But you could always messy crit again, eh?
Yeah, I guess. But he's gonna have like a gazillion successes, and I'm just gonna have 3. 2. I thought it was a
2.
6.
Okay. The moment that you bite down, he turns with the other hand and just rakes it across the side of your face. You will take 3 points of superficial damage, halved and rounded up. Rounded up, so it'll be 2 points of superficial, as he strikes it across the side of your face and dislodges you from the bite. And you can see, in the instance that you're pulled away, the area around the bite marks is festering remarkably fast. But as he kind of puts a hand towards it, he immediately looks towards the door and just tries to bolt. The moment that he gets up and tries to move, the individual who was moving towards your table lunges and tries to grab hold of him.
Oh, stop him! He's a killer! And I create as much as a diversion as I can while I grab her, and tend to her immediately.
Okay.
Does your mask stay on?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's unseen passage, the one that drops.
Yeah.
Okay.
The things that you cannot control, Mask of 1,000 Faces, the way you used to do it before.
yeah.
Like,
The individual that lunges towards him grabs hold of him on the arm, the same arm that you've just bitten, and in the snarl he turns around, grabs hold of him by the neck and just begins squeezing. The guy lets out a shout and he just shoves him and then bolts towards the door. Everybody else is just standing and watching, and they're looking over towards the booth. Some people are grabbing their phones and trying to dial 999. There's numerous people watching. Nobody is moving to help Will, even as she's kind of just...
oh no, I am like...
Aside from you, yeah.
And I take her with me. Like, come on, let's take you out to the hospital.
Okay, the moment that you pick her up and move her, it's then that you realise just how deeply the cut was. And even though she's moving voluntarily, she's not saying anything, and she's gone very pale. You begin escorting her towards the door. Other people are just watching and commenting as they're on the phone and speaking, just watching you go with her. And where are you taking her?
I ask her where's her car. I know she has a car and she always drives.
And she, as her hand comes away bloody, she just points towards the car that's across this side of the street.
I snatch the keys out of her, or take them out of her pocket, put her on her car, and start driving immediately to an, I think you call it A&E?
A&E, yeah.
Yeah, an
It's an
ER.
emergency.
Okay.
I am like bolting there
Okay.
because there are witnesses that of the other guy stabbing her, so I will drop her at an A&E.
Okay.
She needs immediate medical attention.
It's not far to the A&E. It's not from the McDonald's. Not towards the. Are you
No.
going to the big hospital?
Yes,
Yeah, the immediate one.
I'm
Okay.
going to the hospital. It's not far. It's like a couple of blocks away. It'll take me literally 2 minutes to get there to the A&E. Start screaming, "Knife wound! She was attacking the McDonald's!"
The moment that you come in through the door and she lurches forward, she's struggling to stand up. I mean, as you're kind of escorting her move, you realise that the knife has gone into her lung and she's struggling to breathe. But as she's watching towards you, her eyes wide, she seems to be reaching for a phone that she doesn't have anymore.
Don't worry.
And as she
I'll
begins,
tell Katya.
as you do this, she kind of gives a weak nod as they begin escorting her over to a gurney and just trying to wheel her off. But the moment they start wheeling her off, it's almost like she's trying to reach the door, trying to get you to stay, or like she's trying to say something, but there's gurgling as she's saying it, and then she's just wheeled off past the doors and you can't see her.
I pretend I am the distressed boyfriend or whatever. Oh my god. Oh, and I'm double parked, and I go my backtrack.
The nurses that are coming over to try and speak to you, or the doctors just watch as you go,
it's
and then
like whatever they ask me, it's like, oh, she was attacked. A guy on the McDonald's. She was trying to. He stabbed her. There's a lot of people there right now. I need to sort that out. I'll be right back. And I just,
any questions that they have full stored as you just dive out the door. You are currently standing outside with Mrs. Morovsky. You have run out to your car.
Yeah. Now, as far as I know, Moses is just out for the night.
Okay.
So I'll text him. Well, I'll get in my car. I'll put my paintings in the back very carefully.
Okay.
I'll get in and I will text Moses to say, crossed hands on fire. If you need place to stay, let me know. And I will then text. Obviously they know cross hands on fire, but I will text a message to Jim and Katya saying, if you need a place to stay, let me know. And then I will drive to my flat. Because nothing gets in the way of a good bit of painting. You know that, right? Not even
As
fire.
should be.
Not even fire.
I mean, even if you were still inside, you could paint it. And it would be amazing.
It would have been beautiful. My last work.
Even when you're adding in after the fact all the flames as they're licking.
Maybe it'd have to be an etching.
You should have stayed a bit longer, then you would have seen actual anger.
Yeah.
And Katya, you are witness to the fire engine pulling up. A number of people just watching as they begin working about trying to get the hose up towards the window. There is they immediately move over towards Mrs. Morovsky, who approaches them, waves them down, and they ask her whether or not there's anyone else in. And at this, she stops and turns and looks at you for confirmation.
They're all out. I got a message. Ben got out, and I think Jim went out the fire exit round the back.
Oh, no one is inside.
And he just nods, and then he gestures for her to get back. Everyone else is escorted back by the firemen who keep them on the opposite side of the road, and they just begin working on the hotel.
I've also been. I mean, it's all turned to chaos, but I've been like desperately trying to pick out if there are still people here who have been watching.
There's a lot of people watching.
Yeah, but do any of them? Can I make that distinction? That's some maybe kindred.
Okay. We will say.
I'm not gonna pass this roll.
We'll say. In the presence of fire and everything else going on, I'll give you your choice between wits or composure Plus insight.
Well, that's kind of the same both ways.
Yeah, it would be insight, yeah.
Not resolve.
Wow.
Oh no.
I'll find that in a minute. Resolve, you know.
Yeah, to be able to stay fixed on what.
All
you're
right,
doing.
yeah, okay. I'll let you have resolve. I'll let you have resolve this one time.
Jeez, that's the worst roll. No successes, but no crits. It's just.
The only thing that you can really focus on, even as you try and watch everybody else, you're trying to note the presence of Benjamin wherever he's gone. You know that Moses is out, and the mixture of the fire being there, this being your haven, the fact that Mrs. Morovsky's at your side, clearly frightened, and kind though she may be, she's a sweet old lady. You got firemen, you got firewomen, you've got everybody moving back and forth, and you don't know where members of your coterie are. You don't know where Will is, which is important. And even as you kind of check your phone and glance around trying to note people, there's too many people here to note. There's a lot of people have stopped to try and witness what this is. And you get the feeling, based upon the conversations that you can overhear, that a lot of people are more interested in this, not only because, hey, it's a fire, but also because of the very recent fire that happened elsewhere. And there's one or two people wondering whether or not there's going to be a dead body in this one as well. But you see nobody that's taken a particular interest in you or the building beyond it just being fire.
Yeah.
So, Jim, where are you headed at the moment?
Just in the tunnels, probably around the same area where I had been taking a hammer to Tyler's bones.
Okay. And that's where you're going to put the body?
I'm going to take that and then do a check to make sure to check if she is definitely dead or if she's.
She's dead. Final death, dead. She's gone. I mean, her entire body was covered in flames. And you get the feeling that the moment where she kind of lapsed out from you beating the crap into her, trying to put her out, probably put her into torpor, and then the flames did the rest. She is smouldering. She smells rotten. Even over the smell of flames, but the rot doesn't bother you as much as the smell of burning flesh. It is a uncomfortable reminder, and the smell seems to accentuate the pain shooting through your arm.
Would I be aware if or not I would be able to feed her first slightly, or
no? Well, yeah. I mean, she's fully, but you could probably bite in and try and take something from her.
If I can, I'd take a point. Because I'm on 2. If I can bring it down to 1, I'll bring it down to 1. This is what Jim does. He feeds where he can.
Yeah, but of Kindred?
Oh, she's not alive anymore.
So it still means things. Don't accidentally diablerize someone.
It's just drink. He's not going to try and drink the fucking
There
soul.
might still be some soul juice in there.
Soul juice.
I think there's a little bit of time left. It's not too late to make this night worse. Let's go for gold.
Yeah, let's
Gold standard.
Screw something up. What's new, eh?
No, you'll be fine.
We'll see.
I mean, it's gross though.
What is your blood potency?
My blood potency is 1.
He's gonna diablerize.
Look at the SD's face.
Aye. You bite down, and the charred taste is...
Barbecue.
It's beyond terrible. Not only because it tastes like severely burnt meat, which it is, but because everything you are doing is reminding you on an instinctual level of the burns on your arm, of the burning above you and your close proximity to it. But as you bite down, you expect there to be a rush of blood, but there isn't. And instinctively you begin drawing in, and very slowly, in an almost sludge-like pool, you begin feeling the blood coming out, and it is indescribable in how good it tastes.
Things with alchemy.
Are you going to keep drinking?
Knowing that struggle, even though it tastes good, Jim's gonna pull fangs out and go, nah.
Okay. It's with a measure of reluctance that you pull your fangs out. And even though you're pretty certain you've got some charred flesh stuck between your teeth, and the taste is lingering, it is overridden by the taste of the blood that you sampled. And you don't know who this person is. You know that she's Kindred. No one goes up as quickly as a Kindred. And you were witness to that firsthand. But there was something about, because you've not had Kindred blood properly. I mean, you've had your sires, when you were embraced, but it feels like so long ago by comparison. And this is different. The taste is not as strong, not as euphoric, but it is more than what you've had recently. But you push it away. You try and distance yourself away from the smell, the stink of burning flesh. What is your plan?
Plan. I know she's definitely dead. I know that I am going to be needing to feed because I have 2 aggravated damage that I'm going to need to heal. So I'm going to pick the body up and put it as well as Tyrant's skill in the hiding place that saw Moses pull out original body from. Hide it way in there. Pull out phone. Let's get a deer. I just get a call cat here, really.
It's hard to hear over the sound of the sirens, over the sound of people, sound of talking, the sound of the hose. But you can make out Jim. It's a little garbled. I mean, even with the strong connection in Moses' area, you are down in the tunnels.
Kadia?
Jim, I can't talk clearly here. I can't talk about anything.
Right, look, you don't talk, just listen, right? I'm in the tunnels. She's dead, she's concealed.
Fuck!
She's dead, she's concealed where the other was. And fuck that son of a bitch. I'm after rats. Now I need to
Stay where you are. The firefighters are...
I'm gonna remain in the tunnels. Don't mess with me tomorrow. I'm knocking them out these tunnels till tomorrow. Fuck.
Bzzzt.
Two.
Which one of us?
You.
Text or call?
It's a text. Yeah. It's from Will's phone. It simply says, next time.
I text her. Actually, I call
No.
her. I call her.
Yeah.
Wait, what comes through first?
The text.
As in, is there another text on top of the last one?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
There's a text from that, and then as you're reading it, the phone buzzes again.
And it's a call this time.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's me, Moses. Where are you?
I'm outside. I'm outside the crossed hands.
Walk to whatever street. I'm gonna pick you up. Walk down Bluff Way.
All right.
I'm picking you up on Will's car.
Julia, I need to go and check on the others.
Yeah, go, dear.
Thank you.
Just don't go back in.
I'm not going back in. I promise. And I all but leg it to where I'm meeting Moses.
Okay. It meets you a distance, not a big distance, but enough away where you can climb into the car. You see Will's car, and the first thing you notice is that she's not in it.
Where is she?
Come, get in the car. Drive around, start driving down to the hospital. Tell her it's like she was intercepted by very bulky, thin blood. was having her way with her, took her phone. Tried trying to dialogue with him, but he threatened that there could be like consequences, like a burning fire or bodies around the area. When I saw the fire brigade, I knew immediately that he had delivered on his promise. So I confronted him, and he decided to attack Will instead of me.
What happened to her?
She has been stabbed, but she's at the A&E. I dropped her immediately, and then I came to you.
I need to see her.
I am driving there, and we have arrived. It's literally...
Where did he go?
5 blocks.
Yeah, it doesn't take long for you to
It's like, we have arrived. A&E...
We don't even have a fucking hostage.
No. But I have him. I'll get him. Also, I think it's time for me to get into big trouble with the right people. I'll get him. For me, it's personal.
For you, it's personal.
Yeah. Trust me on this one. It is personal.
Yes, it is.
She's your property. I understand that.
No, she's not my fucking
And
property.
she's also your friend. I get it. But you have to understand something else. These guys are attacking us at our haven with fire.
Yes, they're attacking us. Let me help you.
I
know you don't trust me. I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to trust in what you know about my family.
And a dog
Okay.
barks.
Really good dog impression. You are
thanks.
spot on.
Oh, ventriloquism is paying off, you know?
Okay. I'll be asking a favor of you. Or, yeah, I'll be asking a favor of you. And then we'll be asking a favor of someone more. So, it'll cost us a little bit, but it'll be with the right people.
Take me to her first.
Okay. And you clamber out of the car in the parking area of the hospital, which is pretty busy at this point, but you ignore all other people moving around you, ignore the people moving in and out, and you dart directly towards the thing. Are you going in as well? You've still got Mask of a Thousand Faces?
Yes, but I'm just escorting her all the way in. Give her the keys to Will's car. Like, remember, you know what? Come to my condo
Right.
before dawn.
Moses. Jonas.
It's okay. We're
Yeah.
just the two of us. It's like,
You know I don't drive, right?
I'll wait for you then.
Thank you. You might as well hold on to these keys.
I'll just stay in the parking lot. I text Alice. Thin Blood's burned by Haven. I'm okay. Basic stuff. Benjamin, I'm with Katya. She's staying at Mines. Have you heard from Jim? Plucky Jake. It's a text going there. Well,
Okay.
to whomever can get him, give
Yeah.
him a message.
I was
I
going
don't
to say,
have
Plucky
him on
Jake
speed
doesn't
dial.
use a phone.
No, and I don't have him on speed dial if he did.
No.
But to whomever can get a message to him, sort of like a, let's call it like Nosferatu emergency hotline.
Any Nosferatu can get hold of Plucky Jake. If you go into the Warrens, you can get him.
Yeah, but I'm not moving physically. I'm staying here in the parking lot, pretending to be having cigarettes and being like the guy in distress waiting for someone.
Okay.
And at some point, I'm gonna call her. It's like we have to leave because it's gonna be done, and you're not gonna get any news until tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
But I would rather put everything in motion so Carrion gets a message. I'm in. And I'm thinking we have to put our heads together for the boon she's gonna want, because I want to see what this smiling man can do for us, because these fires are happening way too close to his domain.
Okay. And we will cover the rest of that next week about what happens next. Apologies, guys. We run slightly over. Not quite as late as last week.
It was just a couple of minutes this time.
Yes. So thank you everybody for joining us again. We'll see you. No one's away next week.
No.
Good,
As far
excellent.
as I know.
No.
Yep. So we'll all see you same time next week.
See you next week.
Thank you very much,
Thank
guys.
you so much.
See you next week.
Malab.
Malab.